Well, as Leonard Skinner said, Diesel, give me 3 steps. That's exactly what the Atlanta Braves are giving you right now, just not 3 steps in the right direction. 1 step forward, 2 steps back for the Atlanta Braves, as you know what, it's an up and down roller coaster ride that we're all on this Atlanta Braves season. As those of you can hear a little Leonard Skinner getting you started with 3 steps. Sorry for those on the stream, you can't hear it, but Diesel, that's exactly what the Atlanta Braves are right now. Give me 3 steps, Atlanta. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You had a great series last week with the Cincinnati Reds, right?
Felt like you were turning it around.
Take 3 or 4 against the Reds, and all of a sudden you're like, man, maybe this thing is salvageable, right? And then what do? You play the Pittsburgh Pirates, who aren't good at all, and you think, okay, best case, sweep. Worst case, you take 2 of 3. The Atlanta Braves took their 3 steps, 2 steps forward with the Reds, 1 step back, as they lost 2 of 3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates over the weekend. Just not the right direction, and that's where the Atlanta Braves are right now in this Leonard Skinner song.
Yeah, just an awful showing for the Braves. I mean, you thought they could have pulled back to 500 during that Reds series. They had a chance in the 4th game of that series to make it 18-18 on the season. You thought, okay, this is the launch pad. Whew, you wipe away those first 36 games, and then you make your charge now. And then they just like sputter and stop and sputter and start spinning tires, and they skid out, hit the wall. Oh my God, they're on fire. It's just, you can't figure out who this Braves team is.
And that's not that's not particularly where you want to be, Diesel, as you are in the month of May. Look, still plenty of baseball left. And I know there are Atlanta Braves fans out there, Madcraft included, who will say, look, relax. There's still plenty of baseball left. However, you've got to see what the Braves can do so that you feel like you know what they can do when the postseason comes. Right now, the Braves just aren't a great baseball team. They're 19-21, 3rd in the NL East. Look, they have potential. You've seen the potential at times this year, but for whatever reason, the consistency isn't there. Austin Riley leading the team right now. A couple of the leaders who are batting above 300, Diesel, are back below 300. Austin Riley hitting .283 on the season. Right now, he's pretty much Mr. Everything for the Atlanta Braves. He's leading the team in batting average. He's leading the team in home runs with 8 home runs. He's also leading the team in RBIs with 25 RBIs. Also leading the team in hits with 47 hits. So that is Mr. Everything right now. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He is Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this beautiful Monday. Am I going to get shot for saying that? It's the opposite of beautiful outside.
I mean, if you're a duck, it's a beautiful day.
It's true. Yeah.
You know what I've always wondered about that song, and I'm trying to figure it out right now. There's a lyric in Give Me 3 Steps. I can't tell if he's talking about crying or if he's talking about going number 1 in his pants.
Ooh.
There's a line where he says, well, the crowd cleared away and I began to pray and the water fell on the floor. Well, I'm telling you, son, it ain't no fun. Staring straight down a 44. Is he talking about crying? Like, please, Mr. Scary Man, don't shoot me. Or did he pee himself?
You know
That's what I want to know.
Good question. That's a good question. Very valid. The OG Tolo JB on the YouTube stream says both. Diesel, 47 Tolos already watching the show on the stream. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, where you can watch the show. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line is also open as well. Braves fans, we want to hear from you on this rainy Monday. The weather perfectly describes how Atlanta Braves fans feel heading into the week. Phone lines are also open as well. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Good to be back after a short trip to Vegas. As you can imagine, Diesel, with me being back, I didn't hit it big. I didn't hit it big enough to retire, right? But, however, there's always next time. There's always next time.
You said you were up about a week's pay, not quite a week's pay. That's not bad. I mean, that's not bad, to be honest.
That's funny, though.
You have a couple hours of fun, couple days of fun, you make a week's pay.
That's funny. Close to accurate, though. It was 90
after tax.
It was 95 degrees when I flew out of Vegas on Saturday. Actually, it was 95 on Friday, man. It was hot.
We had mid 80s here, like Friday.
Yeah.
It was mid 80s on Friday. Now it's in the 50s, 60s, and I don't like it.
This feels like February is what it feels like.
It doesn't feel like May.
And
this is crap.
It's coming down pretty good right now in Greenville. So, Tolos, I've been on both sides of town today. It's pretty nasty in terms of Spartanburg, Greenville. It's nasty everywhere. Be safe out there. If you do interact with the show, just do it safely.
Oh. Good news is if you like this weather, I got some news for you. It's going to be like this for like the next 3 days.
Great.
I know,
Great.
Right?
That's
I like this. It feels like a delay of summer.
Yeah.
Like our housing development pool opened up this past weekend, and we were going to go. The water's cold. Like you don't want to get in the water, but you'd still go and hang out next to the pool, crack a beer, and it feels like summer's coming.
Getting close, right? Getting close. And 2 steps back just for the weather today. So that Leonard Skinner song, Give Me 3 Steps, is applying just about everywhere. The Braves, the weather, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's where we're going with the Braves. We have a loaded show to get to today. Tolo's going to get into Giannis and that conversation in the very next segment for you NBA fans. How about Clemson softball winning the championship over the weekend? We'll talk about that at 3:45. Is Diesel getting scammed at 4 o'clock? We asked the question if I was a couple of weeks ago. Now we ask if he is. 4:20. How about this one for you? About the biggest guest you can get in college baseball, Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball joins the show at 4:20. We actually taped the interview with him earlier today because he had a conflict in the 4 o'clock hour. We taped it about 2:30. We just got done talking to him just a few minutes ago, and boy, it was a really good conversation about Clemson. Diesel asked him about Coastal. He had a really good answer about Coastal. South Carolina, Pulmonary. So much to get to. Overreaction Monday, Marketplace Monday. It is a Monday, and we are excited to be here. We'll also talk to Mark Hodge, the head football coach of the Spartanburg Vikings, in the 6 o'clock hour to promote an event on Wednesday. So a loaded show. Get in while you can at 844-3263-663. The Atlanta Braves, Diesel, here's my question before we get into 2 pieces of audio. I just want to know what their identity is, right? I want to know come postseason when September and October rolls around, I want to know what I can expect from this Atlanta Braves team. I know you can't win the championship in May, but I do want to know what the identity is. And right now, it just doesn't feel like there's a strong identity with this team.
No, I mean, there's no hitting. The pitching is inconsistent. You can get by with just one of those things, right? You can have a great staff and have some relatively weak hitting and still win a lot of ball games.
Yeah.
You could go the other way. You could put up a ton of numbers and outscore teams. Well, if you can't do either one of those things well and do them consistently, that's how you end up a couple games under 500.
I think inconsistency is the right word. And we've seen the peaks, we've seen the valleys. I do want to start off by saying Dan Bellino was god awful on Friday, Diesel, the umpire, the home plate umpire in that game. And Tolos, if you're a Braves fan and watched, I'm sure you share the same sentiment that I do. Diesel, 17. That's a big number, right? Depending on what you're talking. Dollars, not so much. 17 missed calls from Dan Bellino on Friday night's game with the Braves and the Pirates. That's unexcusable. Something has to be done. Here's how that sounded, and we'll react. After we get rid of Leonard Skinner. Sorry about that.
They call that a strike?
They did. Meadows is not happy about it. It's such a big moment, and I get it. Umpires are not going to be perfect. But in these big spots, I mean, that missed by a pretty good margin. No.
Oh, boy, that's a tough break for Eli White and the Braves at the top of the first.
And it looks like it finished below the zone. Tough break here for Eli White.
It gets better. It really gets better.
Where's Major League Baseball in the middle of these games pulling footage? You know, you get to the 4.5 inning mark and say, you know what? This umpire is terrible. We need to call down there and tell him, fix what you're doing, or we're going to replace you at the halfway point.
The announcers, Diesel, when it's so obvious that the announcers are talking about the entire – I mean, look, there's more.
Listen. And now
to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And great.
I'm watching a video, and this is the audio you're hearing. 91-mile-an-hour fastballs from Bryce Elder, just way outside the zone, way outside the strike, outside of the zone, out of the strike zone, if you will, and they're all getting called strikes. He was absolutely horrible. You're right. The MLB, 17 missed calls on Friday night in one game. How does that happen? 17 missed calls.
Look, these games are far and too important, and it doesn't matter if it's game number 40 of the season or if it's game number 140 and you're coming down the stretch. You got to get it right if you're these umpires. So there needs to be some form of a 3-inning report card, essentially, that says this umpire, especially at home plate, is making the right calls, isn't missing too many, and you should have the ability to replace them or at the very least, get them on the horn and scold them and say, hey, you're missing a lot of calls low. You're missing a lot of calls outside. You need to square that away, Blue.
It's bad. It's pathetic. JD on the YouTube stream, where 66 others are watching on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. He says, poor Chris Sale, starting 1-3 after winning 20 last year. Getting back to 500 has proved to be near impossible so far for the Braves. And is anyone concerned about how many come from behind wins they need? And that's the thing. Chris Sale, we've seen he still has the ability to be the Chris Sale from last year. However, his velocity's dropped, and that's the biggest concern right now for Chris Sale, Diesel, when it comes to the Atlanta Braves starting pitching. When you sign the guy, you knew this was going to happen. Like, you can't expect an old player just to continue to perform and be a Cy Young winner year in and year out at that age.
Come from behind victories, not a lot of offense. Are we talking about Atlanta or Clemson?
Oh, man.
Because they're almost identical teams in that one.
It's rough. But
yeah, right? The truth hurts.
It does. How about this, though? One more question for Braves fans in this very segment. This I heard from 680 The Fan in Atlanta this morning. Diesel, good friends of the show. We have Brandon Leak, home team Brandon Leak, on the show very often. I heard this audio this morning, and I wanted to pull the audio, and poll our Tolos out there at 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Crazy question here, but would you mind, as a Braves fan, moving on from Sean Murphy? Here's what one host in Atlanta had to say this morning.
And the breadcrumb, if I'm the Braves, that I'm putting out to the baseball world is Sean Murphy's available. I don't want to trade him. I like having two catchers who are starting caliber, but when I have holes in other areas, I need to take in a position of strength and use that to try to get better in those areas. Every time you watch Drake Baldwin, and it's a small sample, I get it. Drake looks as ready to go to be an everyday starting catcher, to play 5-6 days a week. And then, I don't know, one of those veteran dudes that you signed who's in the minors could be he'll play 1 day a week. Having two wonderful catchers would be great if you didn't have the glaring needs the Braves have. They do have a need still at starting pitching. Even if Strider comes back, you want another reliable, legit, young starter. Nick Allen's been a nice little surprise at short. You can do a lot better than Nick Allen. I don't know if any shortstops are available. I don't know if any quality starting pitching is available. But now I've got to put the breadcrumbs out there to people that, Sean, we'll listen on Sean.
So what do you think about that, Atlanta Braves fans out there, that you possibly could listen to offers about Sean Murphy? We know how good Sean Murphy has been and what he could be for the Atlanta Braves. Right now, he has played 25 games. His average hitting about 230 on the season, Diesel. And I like what the host in Atlanta brought up about, yeah, Sean Murphy's really good, but you also have so many other glaring holes in the lineup that you feel like this might be a piece to kind of level the playing field and bring everybody up past the Mendoza and keep them there.
Yeah, it feels like if he is that valuable to other teams, if there's trade partners out there, you can help yourself. You can get a good player. You can maybe get a second good player, maybe draft picks in the future. I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel like the right move at the right time.
JD on the YouTube stream says absolutely freaking not. Sean Murphy has been one of the best highlights of the team this year. Sean Murphy hit a pinch hit 3-run double yesterday. He was the only reason the Braves had a chance Trevor Bauer is still available for league minimum. T. Swizzle says, need a pitcher bad. I don't see Sale making it through the season. JD says, I would trade Olsen over Murphy. I don't know that I would do that, JD. Olsen's got to be a staple going forward. Look, you're right, T. Swizzle. They need some pitching. They also have some holes through the lineup, and that's kind of going back to the Braves' frustration, Diesel, from fans during the offseason was we knew there were holes in the lineup. We knew that pitching wasn't going to be stellar. We knew that Chris Sale was old. We knew this. That's why Braves fans were frustrated with the lack of moves in the offseason. All Braves fans were talking about it. They go through the offseason, make a couple of small moves, nothing major. The season gets here, and guess what we see when the season arrives? Oh, this is exactly what we thought it would be. This team has the ability to be really, really good, but this team also has the ability to stink because of inconsistency and holes in the lineup. And you mentioned inconsistency earlier. Holes in the lineup and not so great pitching, when you mix those in and blend them together, that equals inconsistency, Diesel. And that's what the Braves have right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, this may be kind of a write it off already type of season. And you don't want to think that way, but it may be that way. It may just be what it is. This team may struggle. They may get 2 or 3 games over 500, and then they could go on a losing streak and fall back to 2 or 3 games below 500. It's I'm basically saying settle in for a mediocre year.
We'll get back to the comments on the stream and the text line as well. Let's go and look at the schedule for the Atlanta Braves, what they have after losing 2 of 3 to the Pirates. They lost 3-2 on Friday. They won 3-2 on Saturday, and then lost 4-3 on Sunday. Diesel, a 4-game stretch starting tonight at 7:15 with the Washington Nationals. That takes you all the way to Thursday, and then the Atlanta Braves will take on the Boston Red Sox this weekend in Boston, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come back home. No, excuse me. Stay up north and play the Nationals again next week. So they'll play Washington, Diesel 7 times in about a 8-day span. Washington, Atlanta, get ready for that. Then you have a rematch with San Diego. That didn't go so hot to open the season. You go to Philadelphia, and then you get Boston again at home. This is a tough stretch after Washington and Boston, maybe some winnable games, but going on the road to Washington, hosting the Padres, going to Philadelphia. Boston's not a terrible team. I know there might be a little bit of unsettledness, if you will, in Boston with a couple of their star players, but this is a schedule that when you look over the next 2 to 3 weeks, going 500 seems like a best case scenario, and that's not what you want to hear if you're an Atlanta Braves fan. JD says move Ozuna off of DH and rotate Baldwin and Murphy as the DH and catching duties. That makes the most sense to me. I don't hate that, JD. OG Tolo JB says might be time for a new manager, a new fresh approach. Well, you can't do that now. They're not that bad. You don't just fire Snit now. If you were going to fire him, you fired him after the start to the season. JD says he thinks Snit's going to be done. If they did not remove that one, I'm just reading JD's text. Dewey texts the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. He says that's blasphemy to talk about trading Murphy, says Dewey. He also says, welcome back from suspension, Cole. It's time to fire Snitker, Dewey. It's been time to fire. So that's where we are right now with the Atlanta Braves. Not great, not terrible. That sounds like 500, Diesel. That's what they're just below. But who knows? Maybe they made maybe in the next few weeks they make us eat crow and really go on a run. But what have they done to show that that's possible? That's my thing.
By the way, the San Diego Padres that swept the Braves in the second series of the season, when we were looking back on it and saying, oh my God, this team is going to finish so far below 500, they won't even be able to breathe the air. Those Padres just lost 2 of 3 to the Rockies.
Not good.
The worst team in baseball. So the Braves got swept by the team that lost 2 of 3 to the worst team in baseball. I know the transitive property doesn't work, especially over a course of a couple of weeks, but still, that is not good news for the Atlanta Braves. You were talking about a trade there. I got another trade in line for you. Giannis is open to exploring fits outside of Milwaukee. So the question is, if Giannis were to go on the move, where might he fit in? That's next, right here on the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM in Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, and everywhere on the free Odyssey app. Well, with LeBron James set to retire any day now, and Cole just adding more water to what's falling out of the skies right now when that eventually happens.
Don't say that.
The league has got to find a new superstar, right? It's got to find the new face of the game, and there's a very good chance it could be Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's got a title already, and it seems as if Cole, he is ready to make a move, pull a LeBron, go somewhere he can win not one, not two, not three, not four, but multiple multiple NBA titles. Giannis is on the move, and the question is, where should he go? Who could afford him?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Cole, and I looked this up, the Charlotte Hornets could afford Giannis Antetokounmpo's salary.
You know what? That's fascinating. If they can afford it, what would that do for that team? It'd be awesome.
You're telling me there's a chance.
It'd be awesome. You know,
not going to happen.
Is Charlotte do they even know that Giannis is thinking about it, right? Do they watch the news?
I don't think they even show up to these pre-draft and pre-combine events.
I know. No, he is going to be expensive. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's making just under $49 million this year. So it's going to be fun to see what happens. Bucks made their third consecutive first-round playoff exit. They got beaten 4-1 by the Pacers. The NBA Draft Combine is this week in Chicago, which means all of the teams are going to be there, chit-chatting amongst themselves, talking about, hey, can I have your guy? Can you have my guy? And, there's a very good chance that Giannis goes on the move. There's a couple of teams that he could go to, Cole, that I think would have, number one, the splash, the big market splash hire, the big market splash opportunity for him, and also a chance to go win some NBA titles, because Giannis is not a spring chicken anymore. He wants to win titles. He probably is not satisfied with just one. So that's what makes this thing really, really interesting. Some teams that have the cap space and could be considered long shots for the team. We'll start with the long shots first. Washington Wizards. Though, wouldn't it be really weird to see Giannis as a Wizard? I almost forget that the Washington Wizards exist most of the time.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've been good.
Jordan is the only thing that brought any relevance to a Wizards jersey. Outside of that, I mean, can we just go back to calling them the Bullets? Yeah. Like we're in this age of reclamation, right? We're trying to take back old mascots. We're trying to bring back the nostalgia factor. Can we just bring back the Washington Bullets, please? So they are potentially a suitor. Ooh, just lowered my chair there. Kind of scared me. Potentially a suitor for Giannis. So that's an interesting one. Charlotte Hornets, they're tiny market, no history of success, though they do have the money. Don't see Charlotte going after him. This one potentially interesting. They have like the lowest amount of cap space available amongst the contenders, but they got a young guy that could really help Giannis in a big way. The San Antonio Spurs could be a suitor for Giannis Antetokounmpo. How would you feel about seeing Giannis in a Spurs jersey?
I think, look, this is just me analyzing what I've seen. Mm-hmm. I think the Spurs are the best fit for Giannis. I really do.
I haven't even gotten to the best fits yet.
I think the Spurs are the team that's where I could see Giannis playing Diesel in terms of the talent they have around him. They've had the two consecutive rookies of the year, back-to-back seasons, mm-hmm. Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle this past season. When you look at the Spurs, if they have the money to do it, which they should, you just mentioned them, I think this is where it kind of makes sense. Are they a day one contender? Maybe not. But, boy, you look at the young talent they have.
Well, that's the problem is the teams that have the money – they're not contenders, right? Or the teams that are could be day one contenders because they've already got the talent. They don't have the money. So I'm not pushing the San Antonio Spurs out of the conversation yet, Cole. But there's two other teams that very well could go after Giannis, that have the cap space, that have some flexibility and maybe the opportunity to go make some attractive trade offers for him. The Brooklyn Nets are one of them. They've got a ton of future cap space. They've got 31 future draft picks. They have a lot of trade leverage. They're located in a big-time market. Giannis has talked in the past about being interested in cities like New York. So you got the Brooklyn Nets and potentially the Houston Rockets, who have a pretty good young core. Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun could be really good players to match with Giannis, and they could win some titles with Giannis.
The Rockets are good. I could see that. Brooklyn is interesting, right? Does Brooklyn feel like they have the pieces around Giannis, or do they feel like they have the pieces right now to go and get a guy like Giannis, even if they were to have the cap space to be contenders? I don't necessarily think so, but Houston was really good this year. Houston's a good team, and
they got a lot of draft picks now that Harden's gone.
Yep, and their superstar experiment with James Harden didn't work out, right? You go get your next superstar. Houston's a destination, Diesel, where it's a city that believes they should have superstars. You saw it with James Harden. And as good as he was in Houston, they never got over the hump. I remember them getting really, really close. I remember them being up 3-1 on Golden State in one playoff series back in like 2015, 2016. They are a city that feels like they should have a
lifetime.
It does. They're a city that feels like they should have a star. I could see. Look, I said Spurs. I said Houston. I think Giannis is going to Texas. I think he's going to Texas.
Yeah,
maybe not Dallas, but
if Greg Popovich was still in good health and was 10 years younger, I would say lock it down. He's going to San Antonio, right? But Giannis is ready to win championships now, and I think Houston probably gives him the best chance to do that right away. If he wants to start winning titles within the next 1 or 2 seasons, I think Houston's the spot. Brooklyn, maybe. San Antonio, a little stronger than Brooklyn as far as just talent on the roster, but San Antonio, the money situation is probably what precludes them. But I think Houston could get him, and he could start winning a lot of trophies.
The OG Tolo JB on the YouTube stream. 86 Tolos watching the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. JB says, just think if somehow the Spurs win the draft lottery tonight and draft Cooper Flag and then sign Giannis along with having Wemby. That would be a little wild. I will also entertain the idea that's been thrown around several times today already, Diesel, when it comes to Victor Wembanyama. Is there a team tonight when the draft lottery rolls around that feels like, okay, we have the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flag's great, but we need to win now. Maybe we trade Cooper Flag for Giannis and get Giannis now. Boy, would that be a risk. It would be a huge risk. But if you have a team that you feel like is in championship window now, Golden State, don't you feel like, I mean, come on, we hadn't talked about Golden State. They're a destination. There hadn't been more superstars, and I mean, think about the last 10 to 15 years of Golden State's history, Diesel, with Steph and Clay building that thing up, and then getting Draymond to come beat LeBron, and then KD to beat LeBron, and KD leaving, and then all of a sudden, they're still a really good team, but they're not a championship team. But boy, wouldn't they be a championship team tomorrow if they somehow got Giannis?
So if you're Charlotte, let's just take team up the road for an example. They have a 14% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. They won't get it, right? Because they never do. There's no joy in Mudville for the Charlotte Hornets. So if you're Charlotte and you get Cooper Flag with the number 1 pick, and he's right there, right? Like, he's a local boy. He played his basketball at Duke. He would bring a tremendous amount of attention and fan base for years to come, with Duke fans continuing to drive down to Charlotte to go to games. Would you still move on from Cooper and go after Giannis?
If I was Charlotte?
Yeah.
No. Because Cooper Flag's 18 years old. You're going to sell out that stadium for the next
5 years.
At least.
Assuming he doesn't want out because he can't win in Charlotte.
Right. At least 5, right? And yeah, while you think about it, while you think Giannis is a superstar, Charlotte doesn't have the talent there, Diesel, that they, if they go acquire Giannis, they're not immediately a NBA championship team. I will say what's interesting about that, as good as Giannis is, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a LeBron fan, what's interesting about this conversation, as good as Giannis is, Diesel, he's not the player that can go to any city and automatically take him to the finals. LeBron did that in Cleveland with the worst Cleveland team in the world. Giannis is good, but Giannis can't carry a team in the way LeBron did when he was the same age as Giannis. So in saying that, I don't think it makes much sense for a team like Charlotte. I mean, yeah, you'd love to have the guy, but
on that first run for LeBron in Cleveland, he can get you to playoffs. He can't win you a title. He didn't win one his first run in Cleveland.
No, he took him to the finals, though.
Right. So he got there, but he didn't win it. He had to go to Miami to go chase titles.
Yeah, I think Giannis is really, really good. I think he's one of the best players in the game, if not, top 5. But the problem is we've seen 3 years in a row. You mentioned it. They've been, first round exits 3 years in a row?
And they rehired the GM. They gave him an extension, which leaves you scratching your head.
Yeah.
Why do they keep extending the guy that bumps his head on that first round ceiling?
They've got I do think it's coming to an end. I don't think Giannis is happy. JD mentioned something about the big market versus small market. I don't think Giannis necessarily do superstars really care that are championship hungry, or they just want to win a championship, whether it's Charlotte or Milwaukee or Houston.
If you are, what's Giannis, 30, 31 years old, something like that. If you realize that you're probably down to the last 5 years of your maximum playing ability, which means you got to win titles in the next 5 or you're not going to win any more.
Yeah.
Where would you rather go? New York with a slightly smaller chance to win titles, and you know they still need some work around you to put players around you to go win championships, or would you rather go somewhere like Houston that is much more championship ready? I'd rather go to Houston.
If he could somehow,
it's still a big market.
Oh, it's huge. If he could somehow though go to the other team in New York that's competing for then we're talking. I mean, imagine as good as the New York Knicks have been, if somehow, some way they could pull that off. Ooh. I mean, that would be in my mind a championship team there.
A team where Giannis doesn't have to go out and score 35 a night to give them a chance to win, where all he has to do is put up 25 and he's got a bunch of dudes around him. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 more dudes around him that can put up 15. That is a dude that stacks titles.
Yeah, and look, the talent, nobody questions that. I just don't know how much he'll demand. I don't know how much teams can afford it, because we've seen in other sports when you lock a guy up like that, it does strap you a little bit. It straps you for cash a little bit. But going back to the destinations that you mentioned, I think Houston's kind of that destination.
Goldilocks.
Yeah. I just think Houston makes most sense there. I really do.
Plus, I want to see Houston back to winning titles. When I was a little kid, Houston was the tail end of Akeem. Yeah. Who else was there at the time? I think Clyde was there at the time. I think he'd already left Portland and he'd gone to Houston. I want to see Houston Rockets winning titles. I really do.
They were good. They were good. They really were. And let's see on the text line or on the stream. Oh, Madcraft finally in the conversation. Good to hear from you. We talked Braves in the first segment, Matt, but I guess the rain got you down a little bit. Soggy britches, if you will. Matt says, what if Bron doesn't retire and they still get Giannis in LA? I just don't see how in the world they can afford him. With Luka now being there, you have LeBron's contract. I mean, yeah, it would be like the all-star team, but how do you afford Giannis in LA? Madcraft says the Heat is his best destination. He has to stay in the East. I do agree with you on the East conversation. I think he is better suited for the East with the level of competition in the West. I think it would certainly be tough. But I don't know about Miami, man. Miami's a kind of scratch your head deal there. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. But JD says, Matt, they would have to do a sign-and trade for Giannis. They don't have the cap space. I think he's talking about the LA Lakers.
I joke they'd have to play 3-on-5 to afford it. You wouldn't be able to field a full team.
Yeah,
you'd have 5 on the court, 1 on the bench, and that's all you'd have.
Nobody else.
Nobody else.
It's true, though. I mean, he's going to take up a big, big contract. It's just part of it. When we come back, an abbreviated version of Diamond Nuggets, a baseball and today's softball, because they're on the diamond too, segment where we talk about the teams in the state and the area performing on the diamond. One of them just raised an ACC championship banner this past weekend. We'll talk baseball and softball next. little baseball conversation, softball conversation as well. Why softball, you ask? A little diamond nuggets for you in a baseball, softball related segment because Clemson, while they're not doing the best on the baseball diamond, Diesel, they are making history when it comes to softball. Clemson wins their first ACC softball championship title over the weekend. Kylie Johnson for Clemson blasted a 2-run home run in the top of the 7th to lift Clemson over Florida State, the number 1 seed, 2-1 in the 2025 ACC championship game. It's their first ever ACC championship and still a pretty new program. Clemson's Taylor Pipkins was named the most valuable player, freshman, hitting the ball 4 of 5 RBIs on Saturday. One of those, a grand slam against Virginia. That was actually in the tournament, if you will. And she also had a fantastic championship game as well. Clemson softball is rolling. Clemson baseball, Diesel, not so much.
4 years of Clemson softball, and they're already winning championships.
Pretty good.
That's fantastic. But could you imagine, though, if Clemson had to start softball without the transfer portal?
Yeah.
Without name, image, and likeness, without having all of the good momentum of football being so good. Look, I mean, it's one of those things where you love the fact that NIL exists and somebody can say, hey, I want to throw a lot of money at this one specific program. I want to earmark it for this. I want to bring a bunch of transfers in and build a competitive, not just competitive, but a really, really good roster. It's so early, man. It's exciting to see what's happening. It's exciting to see how you can start a program from scratch and find success really early.
It's crazy, man.
Baseball, that's a head scratcher there.
Yeah, baseball not doing so hot. Again, a bad weekend for Clemson. When you look at what the 2025 Division I softball championship looks like, Diesel, a lot of local teams. One of the Tolos mentioned it on the stream a minute ago. But let's look at this. In the Durham Regional, you have Duke, Georgia, Howard, and Coastal Carolina, right? A local team to the upstate being in the state of South Carolina. And the Clemson Regional, you have Clemson, Kentucky, Northwestern, and USC Upstate. USC Upstate in the Clemson Regional. That's freaking awesome to see. So a lot of local teams. South Carolina also hosting a regional starting this weekend. 2 in-state softball programs starting or hosting a regional. They have North Florida, Elon, and Virginia in theirs. The Gamecocks will roll through that. But I just mentioned 4 in-state teams, Diesel, who are going to be in this state with this thing starting up this weekend. That's awesome. It's going to be fun to watch. And look at softball in our state, man, showing out big time.
Yeah, JD on the stream over here is mad. He's butthurt. You didn't talk about the Gamecocks yet. Like, we can't talk about 2 teams at the exact same time. If Cole and I are overlapping, one of us talking Clemson, one of us talking South Carolina at the same time, it's bad radio. Somebody's got to go first. Somebody's got to go second. Calm down. We got to it.
And I just mentioned it, as Diesel said. I just mentioned the club. And I believe I said they're going to roll through that. But look, we started, JD, I hope it's okay. We started with the team that won a championship. They hung a banner. So sorry for not getting to South Carolina first, right? Yeah, it's exactly right. Also in Diamond Nuggets, we've touched on Clemson. We've touched on South Carolina softball. We are going to have an interview with Aaron Fitt at 4:20 to take a deeper dive into Clemson baseball and South Carolina baseball. The Spartanburgers had a good weekend as well, a really good team in Spartanburg in their first season, Diesel. Spartanburg, I know you had, was it Tyson Jeffers on Friday?
He was on
Friday. One of those days last week, right? They're playing well. They're playing really well in a matchup with the Drive coming up here in Greenville this week. Clemson baseball and South Carolina baseball, though, will end the segment with them. We've already touched on the Braves in the first segment, so no need to rehash that in this segment of Diamond Nuggets as we talk a little softball and baseball. But, Diesel, when you look at these 2 baseball programs, boy, We'll start with South Carolina this time. South Carolina, they continue not only to lose, but just get embarrassed. It's not often you see 20 burgers consistently hung on your baseball team. And you know what? This season has been over for a long time, it feels like. But Gamecock fans just have to be ready for this thing to end.
Yeah, they're ready to just call this thing a mercy killing. Just get it over with. You can't have what happened. You can't have a 22-run loss. They got run ruled early, by the way. I mean, how bad could it have gotten if they had let this thing go through 9? You gave up 11 to Auburn in the second game. You gave up 11 to Auburn in the third game. I mean, that's just it's terrible. And this team has clearly quit on Paul Mainieri.
It doesn't seem like they have much fight, right? Much wherewithal. And look, we've talked about it the entire season, Diesel. We know how bad the South Carolina baseball team has been. The question just now becomes, what is Jeremiah Donati going to do in the offseason, much like the situation that he talked about with Lamont Paris, the basketball coach? What is Jeremiah Donati going to do in the offseason to elevate Paul Mainieri, right? To give him better resources, to help Paul Mainieri and Monty Lee go out and get this ship turned around? Because as it looks right now, it doesn't seem like they're going to just move on from Paul Mainieri. But now the ball's in the court of Jeremiah Donati. That's where it is. And as far as Clemson goes, they've had 2 really tough tests. Like, they've had a brutal stretch in the last month or so, but they have not answered the test well, Diesel. They have been embarrassed. Clemson baseball also on the wrong trajectory at the wrong time.
If one player slumps down the end of the stretch, you're doing okay. You can survive. You can keep winning baseball games. But when the entire team decides to slump all at once, your hitting slumps, your pitching slumps, everything about it slumps. What have they lost now? They've lost like 9 out of their last 11, something like that. I mean, it's not a good spot to be going into ACC tournament play. Now, you may get a good seed. You may get a bad team. You may get, as in a favorable draw. But, man, that's a tough place to be right now. And I don't know that one magical series is going to fix it.
No, I don't think so either. You would like for it to, but you know what? What have you seen down the stretch that makes you feel like Clemson can go on a run? They say the proof's in the pudding, right? But the pudding doesn't have any proof in it in Clemson right now.
When we come back, last week we had a lot of fun talking about Cole getting scammed, not realizing he was getting scammed. Well, I don't know. I got to bring something up for you as well. Something that showed up in my mailbox at home, Cole. And I can't tell if this is real or if they're trying to get me. We'll talk about it next. Tolos, have you ever bought something online and then it takes so long for it to get to your house that by the time it arrives, like you completely forgot buying it? It either signifies that you've got an online shopping problem and you buy way too much and you forget what you buy, or it goes to show that, once you've hit that purchase button, you wipe it from your memory until it actually shows up. Well, last week, Cole thought he didn't know if he was getting scammed or not, and we had a great conversation, had a lot of fun talking about those you need to pay your toll text message scams that came into Cole's inbox. Well, this showed up in my mailbox. So this was delivered by actual U.S. mail carrier to my mailbox, and it looks like one of those package undeliverable forms. And I'm going to show you, Cole, and I'm going to put it up on the stream as well. It looks like one of those forms that says, sorry, we missed you, and your package couldn't be delivered. Well, those forms, if you've ever gotten one, it's like a government form, right? There's like carbon paper. It's multiple sheets, the pink layer, the yellow layer, and the white layer. Well, this was not that at all. This showed up on my front door, and it was not on the front door, but in my mailbox. This is just a sheet of paper. Here, I'll show you. I'll give you my phone call so you can look at it close up. It was just a sheet of paper that's cut in half, like folded in half and then cut with one of those big paper slicer things. And there's no address from the sender. There's no name for the sender on it. We called the post office, and the post office said, yeah, we don't know who sent that. I'm like, how do you not know who sent it? And according to you, it's sitting in your system. How do you not know where it came from? They don't know who sent this or where it came from.
Looks like somebody might just have dropped it in the mail. You think so? Just dropped it in the mail?
No, this was U.S. mail. Like you opened. I watched this was not in an envelope. This was just laid in there on top of the other mail. The lady dropped it off.
Maybe she's the scammer.
Well, heck of a scam.
I'm saying maybe she is. No, it looked, when I first looked at it, it looked like a 1099 form is what it looked like.
I've never seen these before.
No.
I've never seen this before. We've gotten package undeliverable, and usually they'll walk up and stick it to the door because if it's a package that the mail lady has to get out of her mail truck to come and deliver, they'll take it out of the back of the truck. They'll walk up to the door and knock on the door and say, all right, I got your package. And if they can't deliver it to you, they walk back. Lady never got out of her truck.
What if the lady, the mail delivery lady is behind a ring of scams? Maybe she's behind it. I'm just saying.
I mean, she's only been our mail delivery lady for like the last 5 years. She's been on our route for a long time.
Well,
but then again, Walter White was a successful high school teacher.
She's had some
been teaching chemistry for decades.
Yeah, she's had some financial troubles lately. She's trying to get some money back by scamming. She thought, oh man, I could scam the people I see every day. Now she's
never
probably listening right now and thinking, I can't believe this guy is talking about. I don't know if they have radios in mail trucks or not. She might not be listening. The driver's seat's on the wrong side anyways, right? They might not fit a radio in there. It's definitely a scam. There's no doubt about it. It 100% is. Just don't fill it out. Don't just trash it. Is that what you did?
No, we've still got it. It's stuck to the door. So we called the post office, and they said, well, you can come by the post office where it says this thing is currently sitting and pick up your package. But I don't want to do that. What if there's like anthrax in it?
No.
This is not a real form. And
no, it's not.
Madcraft is asking all these questions. Madcraft, I've already revealed the answer to those questions. She never got out of her truck. I watched her put it in the mailbox because I was in the garage doing some work that morning. I watched her put it in the mailbox. I walked out there and grabbed it out of the mailbox, and here's this thing in it.
Let's go to the phone lines.
I've never seen this before.
844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Guy in Greenville wants to chime in. What do you think about this, Guy?
I want you to tell me because I'm a letter carrier for the United States Postal Service. Let's put me on the spot.
Okay. You are the guy to ask this question of. What do you think?
Put me on the spot. Let's see. Is there a form number on it?
I'm trying to scroll. I'm trying to zoom in, and it looks like a photocopy of a. Okay, here it is. The 3849 form. P.S.
There it is.
3849. Huh?
It's pink.
No, it's white. It's like a sheet of printer paper that's been cut in half.
Okay, I don't know why you got a copy, but a 3849 is the real deal.
Well, anybody could photocopy a 3849 form, right?
Yeah, but if they're not going to leave it and you're not going to pick it up, you can authorize a redelivery.
Yeah, but if it was a real form, it would be a real form, not a photocopy of a real form, right?
Correct.
So they left a photocopy.
You saw the truck drop it off, right?
I saw the truck drop it off. Yes, in my mailbox. This bunch of bills and other crap too, right? No. But this was in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nobody. You what do you get that's good now?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Nothing.
That's a fact. What kind of form is that guy?
3849 is an attempted delivery. It's a package. Usually requires either a payment or a signature.
But why would they not knock on the door?
We didn't buy anything. They didn't come to the door.
Yeah, I can't account for anybody else. So.
Yeah, so we're scared, man. We don't even know. Like, we've racked our brains of anything. We asked everybody we know, did you send us something? We looked back at our bank statements to see, like, did we buy something that never showed up?
Did Dewey send you something?
3849 also has the sender's name on it.
But it doesn't.
It has the sender's name, then your name and address.
But that's the problem, is it doesn't have the sender's name on it. We called the USPS. We called our local shop and said, hey, we got this package. Can you tell us who sent it? And they're like, yeah, no, we don't know who sent it.
Okay, yeah, that'll be fun. You can get an inspector in on that one if you're that worried about it.
Yeah, I'd be like, you know what? You open it over there in that bomb-proof room. I'm not opening it in my house.
Here, I don't know what post office you're out of. Now I'm going to want to see it. So
the saga continues.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks, guy.
I hope this. Keep me up on how this turns out. I'm going to want to know. I don't even, what office are you out of?
Malden.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Nope. I'm more local. All right, but just don't let this one go. Keep us all up, because now I'm going to have to ask Malden.
I found the one thing that's got Guy on the edge of the seat.
I love it. Thanks, Guy. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
So let me ask you: did it have your name on it?
No
name.
It just has the address. Okay. It just has the address. Doesn't have our name on it. Doesn't have a name of a sender. Nothing like that.
Yeah, that's weird. It's almost like that's the receipt. I don't know.
Yeah, it says it's a receipt for like some sort of merchandise return or something. Yeah. It's just
you didn't return anything.
No.
That's weird. I can't. At first, I said it. I said it's got to be a scam, but I don't know. Guy kind of debunks that.
I mean, I thought if it was a legitimate form, it would be a legitimate form, not a photocopy of the legitimate form.
Yeah, JD says on the stream he thinks it's a scam. I thought it was. Guy said he don't know. He doesn't know.
JD says it was the naked man mad about you kicking him off the porch. I didn't tell you about that story.
No.
There was a naked man on my front porch last week. He just wandered onto the front lawn and laid down to take a nap on the front porch. Laid there for like 30 seconds, then got up and walked away.
Like naked.
He had like a blue blanket over his shoulders, like wrapped around him. And that was it. Like, I mean, there's moments when you're watching the video stream of him walking up to the door, you can see thigh. You don't see anything else. Thank God.
You're serious?
I'm serious. I'm going to show you this photo too.
Where do you live? I know where you live.
I live in a neighborhood.
You up before.
I live in a nice neighborhood.
That guy just walked
right up to the door. And then he laid down on the front patio. Laid there for like 30 seconds.
Were you home?
Yeah, I was home. I called 911. They're like, did you go check on him? No, I didn't go check on this crackhead who laid down on my front yard. I'm not doing that.
You got to move out from behind the beacon, man. I mean, you got to.
Woo.
That is rough. That almost didn't believe it. I really didn't. That's well, we'll see. Keep us up to date.
Strange things are afoot in that circle.
Keep us up to date though. I'm with Guy. I want to know. interested now on the male side. Real quick, what was the movie? It's a Netflix documentary. Was it a movie or a documentary? I think it was a movie Netflix recreated about the bomber with the mail packages. You know what I'm talking about.
The Unabomber?
Yep. That Netflix, you ever watched that on Netflix, the documentary on it?
Probably.
Really,
For a while, I got into those like 90s true crime Netflix series.
It's really good. It's really good. I enjoy it. But just don't open any package. Now you've got me worried a little bit.
So let's get into this, Cole. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, you and I together, though it was a huge story on Friday of last week. Want to touch on it really briefly. Draymond Green, that rant that he had in the locker room that a lot of people are going after him for now at this point. The don't paint me as an angry black man. I'm an educated man. I'm really good at what I do. And the internet is coming after Draymond, especially after he fouled out of game number 4 in the series and really was a non-factor in that game. What were your thoughts when you saw Draymond Green post-game in the locker room yelling at the camera saying that I'm not angry?
You know what? That's a lot to unpack.
Right.
I have the audio. I'm making sure that there are. Did you play it last week?
I did. If it's about 15 seconds long, there's no dump button.
Okay, good.
No.
I have the audio. Let me play it and one more time as a refresher. I think I saw it on Wednesday or Thursday. Here it is.
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
I would like to know, and maybe you heard since you were on the air Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week, what the question was that spurred that. Because
I still have not found that.
Well, that's what I want to know, right? That like what was asked, like did a reporter say, why are you acting like crazy black?
So you know what happened? Got a flagrant on the court, he got benched, screaming at the referees. Steph had to come off the bench and kind of like grab his buddy and pull him back. And then he was benched, but he was not thrown out of the game. But he was in the tunnel riding like a stationary bike, and I guess somebody in the crowd yelled a racial slur at him, and then they begin asking him about it after the game, and he's like, "Quit trying to paint me as this stereotype of an angry black man."
Number one, if a racial slur was used, it's inexcusable. Number one, let's get that out of the way, right? Draymond Green's a heck of a basketball player. Draymond Green has been a pivotal part, Diesel, of the Warriors winning championships. There's no denying that. But there's also, in my mind, in my opinion, no denying that Draymond Green doesn't know how to control his emotions on the court. Does that mean he's an angry black man? I wouldn't have painted him in that light or used that adjective to describe him. But in this, just as you can't deny that he's been pivotal for Golden State championships, you also can't deny that he's not the best at controlling his emotions on the court. It's left up to him. It's actually, in my opinion, if he acts that way on the court, it's left up to him to figure out how that portrays himself.
Yeah, I mean, you can figure out the best way to control your emotions and control the way you react to things to appear to be a hard-nosed competitor. And there are plenty of guys in the NBA, historically and right now, who are hard-nosed competitors, but they are not painted in that light. Now, maybe that's a stereotype that particularly triggers Draymond, right? There's angry man. Nobody wants to be portrayed as having anger issues. And he may say, I think Draymond's trying to play a little bit of victim here of saying the NBA is calling me too tight and setting me up to get more technicals and to get more flagrants so that they can paint this in a way that makes me look like an angry individual.
And again, I think it's important to reiterate what you said about people being painted with a negative light in terms of having nobody, regardless of skin color, wants to be painted as somebody with anger issues. I think it's people with anger issues. They have anger issues, whether they're Asian American, black, white, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like I said, what he does on the court, he's passionate. He loves the game. But in my opinion, he also doesn't know how to control that. That doesn't make him anything other than he's reckless on the court, in my mind.
Yeah.
Mind.
It was – I didn't think the flagrant foul that was called a flagrant – I didn't think that was a flagrant foul.
Yeah.
Obviously, he got emotional over being sat in that situation and didn't like the call. That's the moment where he became an angry individual.
Sure.
Because in that moment, instead of going to the bench or going to talk to his coach, what does he do? He starts going after the referee.
Yeah.
He starts trying to push through people to get to the referee.
But, my whole thing is like in our jobs and occupations, we all get angry at times.
Sure.
It's part of it. I think Draymond is allowing, and again, racial slurs are inexcusable. There's no denying that. But look, don't feel like you have to apologize or not apologize. If I see this clip and I were to say, hey, Draymond, you are who you are. You've made a career of who you are. Don't apologize for it. It's who you are. People, we know who Draymond is. We know how passionate about the game he is. Let's go to the phone lines where Big Kev wants to chime in. What's up, Kev?
Hey, Kev.
What's up, fella?
How are you, man?
Oh, chilling, man. Draymond has brought this on himself, a lot of it anyway. All the antics that he do throughout the season, from kicking people to slapping people to whatever, anything he do. So any small little thing that go off, they're gonna think that you already upset or you up to no good anyway. He put himself in that realm to where everybody thinks that he's gonna do something dirty at any given second or go off or ready to for whatever if anything happens. So now you got to deal with that. You put yourself there, so now you have to lay yourself in this bed and deal with whatever comes with any of your actions. That's how I look at it anyway.
I like that.
It's passion, like you say, but at the same time, if you getting tech after tech, dirty plays, stuff you doing, then anytime we got mad playing any kind of sport, and you went to the referee running up at the mouth, has he ever changed the play? Has he ever changed what he called? No. So the best thing you can do is go. You can be mad, look at the sky, slap your hands together, whatever it may be. But all the answers that he got to do, that's a bunch of BS to me. He need to leave that alone.
It's a great thought, Kev. Appreciate the phone call. Really good stuff there and well thought out as well.
I've got to think that the specific series of words that he used when he said, "Don't paint me as the angry black man," I have to assume that those three words are specifically triggering to Draymond, and he doesn't want to be seen as that.
Yeah, Thomas at 423 brings up an interesting point on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line at 844-326-3663. Thomas says, if Draymond would have played in the day with the Bad Boys or Barkley, he would have been a softie, LOL. Well, he's the bully in today's league.
He's the Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I don't know that he would have been the bully back then, though. I don't know that he would have been. It's really interesting. I'm sure we'll get back to it because Draymond ain't going nowhere, right? He's going to be around. He's a good player. I like Draymond's play, but it does make you scratch your head a little bit. It really does. Let's take a deep dive, Diesel, into college baseball. Clemson, South Carolina, Coastal Carolina. We taped an interview at 2:30 with Aaron Fitt, the biggest college baseball guest you can get in the country. He joined us on the phone lines. He couldn't join us live. He had a prior commitment, but we have that interview for you for the very first time next.
season. I mean, you still have Aiden Canuck, and you can still count on him to give you a good start most weeks. But after that, it's just been a problem in the rotation. They've not gotten length. It's been a revolving door. It remains a problem. Their bullpen has shown a few more cracks lately than it did, I think, earlier. And the bottom line is they have a good lineup, but it's not like it's, a premier. It's not like there's a ton of like prospects. They can't just out talent people. I mean, they have a lot of very good college players, but like, I think their floor is pretty good, but their ceiling maybe is not as high as some of these other teams out there. They're just playing more loaded with talent. And so when you're cold and you can't just out talent people, you got to be really sharp. And they're just not sharp right now. They're not playing great baseball. And so we'll see if they can find their way out of this rut before it's too late.
Talking to Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball. Welcome to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. I do want to talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks here in just a couple of minutes, but you mentioned them, so I want to jump straight to another winning team right here in the state of South Carolina. Coastal Carolina, 23-4. They're on an 11-game win streak. They're leading the Sun Belt, playing really, really good baseball right now. Regional host, probably super regional. We'll see. Do you see Coastal as a legit contender to make it to Omaha, or more of a tough out kind of team? If I made you put them in one of those two buckets, where would you put them?
Yeah, I've become a real believer in this team at this point as a legitimate Omaha, contender. I mean, the thing that stands out about them is historically it's a very good place to hit down there. It's a hitter's park, and they always have hit. They always have put up really good offensive numbers, and this year, their offense is solid. It's fine. But what really stands out is that it's probably their best pitching staff since won it all in 2016, I think. I mean, it's three guys in the rotation that have been outstanding all year long. And two of them are big power arms that can match up with anybody. Jacob Boris and Cameron Flukie, like you put those guys on an SEC roster, an ACC roster, they might still be in the rotation and dealing, that's real stuff. And then Riley Eichhoff, who's just your super reliable veteran guy, pump strikes, and it's a great bullpen with depth and a couple of frontline weapons there. It's just a really good pitching staff, and that stands out in this era of college baseball where you don't necessarily see that many teams that can pitch that great. So even though this team has much less power than a typical Coastal team, I like their chances better this year to make a really deep run.
Tolos, do us a favor and give him a follow on Twitter. He is a fantastic follow. He has 68,000 followers at Aaron Fitt. That's AARONFITT. Let's make our way back from Clemson all the way down to the coast, back up to the Midlands, Aaron, as we are in the state of South Carolina and have a large majority of Clemson fans, South Carolina fans, and a few Coastal fans, as well, as Diesel just asked you about in that very last question. South Carolina baseball is what, in your mind, now that you've seen them in 2025?
Struggling. It's a tough scene right now in Columbia. And gosh, we didn't expect this to be a regional team this year heading into it. I mean, they're one of the couple of teams we felt like would probably be towards the bottom of the league, but gosh, it's jarring to see 5-22, for South Carolina, 5-22 in the SEC. It's a proud program, and right now it's just not in a great spot, and it's kind of one of those things where they had it okay there for a while with Mark Kingston. I mean, you're still going to the postseason. You're still going to some super regionals. I mean, just like even with Holbrook, and I know the fans were ready for a change in both those cases. They wanted Holbrook out and they wanted Kingston out. And, now you've got a national championship caliber coach, and he's had a rough first year, and it's, you got to wonder at this point, I mean, like, what can Paul Mainieri do to adjust here as he goes forward? Because he obviously can coach. We know that. He's proven it, but he's getting up there, and the game has changed, and, he's got to change with it if they're going to win in the SEC. I mean, there's still plenty to offer at South Carolina, but their roster was just light heading into this year, and we knew it was. And then things just kind of snowballed on them. And so, fascinating times ahead to see how they try to get that thing back on track. There's no real easy answer because the league is more competitive than it's ever been, and everybody is has ramped up their commitment in the league, except for Missouri. There's, better facilities across the league than there were, in the glory days of 2010 to 2012 when South Carolina was winning national titles. There's better facilities. There's all the NIL competition. There's, a bunch of other teams have now stepped forward and won national titles in the league. Since South Carolina's last one, and you've had Vandy, you've had Florida, you've had both Mississippi schools, you've had Tennessee, all those teams, none of them had done it before. South Carolina did it, and now they all have. And so it's just playing harder. The landscape has changed, and we'll see if they can figure it out.
Last week on these airwaves, Aaron, I argued that moving on from Pulmonary would be more instability, but South Carolina fans, having won multiple national championships in the past, they want the mansion before building the foundation that it rests on. I believe that Paul knows ball, or Paul at least knew ball in a previous era. I mean, in your mind, is it is a little short-sighted, is a little premature if Jeremiah Donati were to move on from Pulmonary after just 1 year?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I'm with you. I think Paul knows ball, and I just think anytime you're going to bring in a new coach now, it's generally going to take a little time. Although, I mean, we have seen other instances like Wes Johnson comes to mind, the guy that just jumped right in and, hammered the portal, and they were instantly a contender. And so the fact that South Carolina wasn't able to do that does stand out in juxtaposition with what West did at Georgia in year one. But I think they're better suited to bring him back and let him get a full year, and with a cycle with the portal stuff, they'll have a head start on it this time around, and be able to kind of work on rebuilding that roster quickly and see where it goes.
It's interesting. We talked about a couple of weeks ago, Aaron, when it comes to Pulmonary and the hires that South Carolina has made with the baseball program. They've tried it all to this point, right? They've gone with Holbrook. You mentioned him, the up-and-coming assistant. They went with someone that's won at the smaller program level, like they did with Mark Kingston. Now they've dipped into the bucket of the old experienced vet. None have worked for them. Do you think that when you look back all the years that you've covered South Carolina, all the way back to the glory days of them winning championships, maybe, just maybe, they did move on from Chad Holbrook a year too soon, and maybe if they wouldn't have moved on from Holbrook, maybe he's still the coach today?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it at the time, and the fans skewered me for it, but I said, I don't think they should have fired Chad at that point. I mean, I think they had been to 3 super regionals in 5 years when they fired him, which, and I could have that wrong, but it's something like that. I mean, they had been pretty good. They just hadn't gotten back to Omaha, and I think they had 3 years out of 5 that were pretty good while he was there, and 2 that were disappointing. But I mean, before 2010, I mean, they weren't, they hadn't really been going to Omaha regularly for a little while there either under Tanner. I mean, they had good teams, the Smoke and Darnell and, Reese Havens teams, and lots of good players there that didn't get to Omaha. And then they kind of caught lightning in a bottle for a few years. And then, since then they were still having solid years in the SEC where you're in a regional and you're hosting sometimes and you're getting to a super sometimes. And it's tough to get through to Omaha, and I mean, you look at the struggles that, Ole Miss has had over the years. I mean, Mike Bianco's been there 25 years, give or take. I mean, he's the longest tenured coach in the league. He's had a lot of great teams, a lot of great runs. They've been to Omaha twice, and they won it once, and winning it, they fell on their face for a couple of years, and people were calling for his head, and now they're kind of back and probably be another regional team, maybe a super. And it's like, in this era, maybe that's okay, is to be a regular regional team with some supers, and then you just need to kind of hope you get through to Omaha. And I get that the expectations are higher. I get that fans want to win, and I'm not, every time I try to level this a little bit for people, that the fans get mad at me. So whatever, they're just going to get mad. I get it. You want to be the best. I don't blame you. It's just hard.
Talking to Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball, joining us here on the Fan Upstate. Is there any pressure in your mind on the selection committee to set West Virginia up as a host, considering the school felt like they got hosed in the NCAA basketball tournament? Darian DeVries, the head coach, who was there for 1 year, left to go to Indiana, and he, kind of made some veiled threats about getting legal action involved. I mean, I can't imagine that there is any real thought or consideration for that, but does that play into your mind at all?
No, not at all. Totally different things. I mean, baseball has different committee and makes their own decisions. And hey, we've seen also maybe sympathy doesn't have any place in this whole process. I mean, look at NC State, the year that they were in Omaha and pretty at 2-0, and then COVID happened and they got disqualified. Sent home from the College World Series. The year later, they should have gotten into regional and they got snubbed. So I don't think there's any kind of sense of reconciliation here based on what happened in another sport, certainly.
Aaron, it's interesting, man, to hear from someone like you that's seen a plethora of teams this year. We've talked about Coastal and Clemson and South Carolina, but just from a broad standpoint, the teams you've seen this season, what would the one team, or who would the one team be, rather, that has really stood out to you that you just didn't get enough of that you might could see making a deep run?
Well, I tell you what, I feel like there's more parity this year at the top than I can remember in recent years. There's no clear-cut favorite to win it all right now, and I just think that's compelling. I mean, you look at the top 3 teams in the RPI, they're all from the SEC, but they're all 16-11 in the SEC, as Georgia, Auburn, and Vanderbilt. And all those teams seem good but flawed. And then you've got Texas, who's in first place, but they've lost a couple of series in a row, and they got some injuries. And you've got Arkansas, who's, I think probably the most complete roster. If I had to pick one, I think they have the fewest holes, but they've lost 4 of their last 5 series, and LSU just beat them. LSU for me be right there with Arkansas as far as most complete rosters. There's 7 in the RPI. Like right now, that's not like on track to be the number 1 national seed either. And so it just feels like we're wide open with 2 weeks left to 1 regular season and 1 conference tournament. We're still just waiting to see who's the team to beat. I mean, I guess if I had to pick one right now, I still would probably lean Arkansas. But again, 4 series losses in the last 5 weeks. I mean, it's hard to get over that. So I don't know. I mean, it's it's kind of fun to be in this position this late in the year. We don't know who's going to win the Golden Spikes Award. We don't know who the best teams are. I mean, it just feels like it's wide open.
Aaron, how does the committee use a formula, or is there a formula that helps weigh the difference in the strength of schedule being in the SEC versus being in the ACC versus Big 10, Big 12, and try to figure out, okay, X number of losses or wins in this conference is roughly equal to this number of wins and losses in that conference. How do they kind of make those determinations?
I mean, I think that's what the RPI attempts to do is, all those teams, you have your non-conference strength of schedule and your wins and losses and all this other stuff is all baked into the RPI. It's intended to try to bridge the gap between the different conferences and give you, and now you can argue about how good of a job it does at that. But it's a tool that they use. Otherwise, 13 wins in this league versus 13 wins in a different league. I mean, it's I don't know. It's apples to oranges a little bit, but I mean, there have been historical benchmarks we've seen. I mean, like an SEC team that gets to 13 and 17 league historically has gotten a bid, whereas an ACC team at 13 is pretty dicey. Sometimes gets in, sometimes doesn't, but 14 is better. It's like that's kind of been the difference. Now, I do think nowadays with these super conferences, these 16-team leagues, the schedules are so unbalanced. I mean, if you played Missouri and South Carolina, for instance, in the SEC, and another team didn't, that gives you a real advantage. And I don't think they should just look at the conference records this year. I think that's lazy. I think they need to take a look at the strength of your conference schedule, which is something that our guy Mark Etheridge has been following closely all year long at GC Extra doing baseball. So I think that should be a factor, and we'll see how much the committee relies on that, or if they just say, oh, well, they got the 17 wins in the league, they're a host. I think you need to look deeper than that this year.
Aaron, my last question for you. The latest D1 baseball poll earlier today has Florida State as the number 2 team in the country, right behind LSU. It's LSU, Florida State, Texas, North Carolina, and Oregon in the top 5. This question somewhat relates to South Carolina's situation with Paul Mainieri because Florida State, man, a new coach, right? Link Jarrett just in his 3rd season. I guess you can still call him new. Last year, a College World Series appearance. How did Florida State get it right in your mind, and how can other programs replicate that?
It's a great question, too, because I'm glad you picked that example because Link's first year was a disaster. I mean, that was the first year in 45 years Florida State didn't go to the postseason. They finished I think he finished last place in the ACC his first season. And if they had panicked and said, "Oh God, he's a disaster," and fired him, that would have been a mistake because he was the right guy. Now to be fair, it's different. He was very obviously the right guy. A Florida State alum that It's still kind of in his prime as a coach, from an age perspective, coming off taking Notre Dame of all teams to the World Series. I mean, he was an absolute no-brainer, and we knew he would get it figured out. And so sometimes the stars just kind of align. It's like, I think back to, North Carolina basketball, like, of course they were going to hire Roy Williams if they could get him, and it's like Florida State, of course you're going to hire Lake Jared if you could get him. And it's sometimes there's just that perfect fit, and it's just like a can't miss guy, even though Lake did miss in year one. But, he was the guy. Mainieri wasn't that. I mean, we always kind of knew Mainieri was a short-term Band-Aid here. How short of a term, I don't know. But, I wasn't thinking like 10 years from now, Paul Mainieri is not going to be coaching South Carolina. I think we all knew that heading into it. So, what's the blueprint? I don't know. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can tackle it. I think Clemson, another one that I do feel like that was one of your no-brainer hires, Eric Bakich. I mean, that was the guy, guy with Clemson ties and everything he had accomplished in his youth, his profile, like, in his prime, like that was the guy, no-brainer. And he'll get them to Omaha. It's only a matter of time. Maybe it's this year, and then they're going to keep on getting back there. And so sometimes you just need to have the right guy at the right time. And it just doesn't feel like there is that obvious guy for South Carolina where it's like someone from the family who, you only get this guy to come back. That's what, that's the magic bullet. There just isn't, for South Carolina right now, there just isn't that guy.
That is Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball, talking college baseball. Absolutely the best. We appreciate your time as always, and hope to talk to you again real soon.
All right. You got it, my friend.
Yes, sir. That is Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com. When we come back, Cole, Carolina Panthers held their rookie minicamp Friday and Saturday. Right in the middle of a construction zone, honestly. If you look at the video of where they were doing this thing, there were jackhammers going off. There were cranes everywhere. Kind of a wild scene for the rookie minicamp. But, hey, you got to put those guys through their paces and show them that it's not all glitz and glamour. Some notes from Carolina Panthers rookie minicamp coming up next right here on The Fan Upstate.
State.
When I saw the facility, Cole, that the Carolina Panthers rookie minicamp was held in Friday and Saturday, I thought they're clearly punking somebody, right? I mean, yeah, there's grass on the field, but you look around everything, and it's like storage buildings and mounds of dirt, everything under construction up there. They could have just brought this thing down to South Carolina, done it at Wofford. I don't know, throw a bone to the people of the upstate of South Carolina, considering that training camp was here for years and years and years, but that's not the case. Carolina Panthers held their rookie mini camp Friday and Saturday, and we got our first looks at some of the Carolina Panthers draft picks. Some of them look pretty good, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah. Standout performances. Definitely worth noting that Teteroa McMillan, the wide receiver they took in the first round with the 8th overall pick, he showcased some really nice body control and some route running abilities, and praised Adam Thielen quite a bit in terms of who he likes to model his game after, who he would like to pick his brain quite a bit. You got to feel good for the Carolina Panthers and the pick they made there at number 8, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, I don't think anybody denied that he wasn't good. It's just that we didn't expect it. And kind of the shell shock of that pick, right, was everybody expected them to go defense. And when they went Teteroa McMillan, everybody just went, ah. Now, I think it's important in every draft to sleep on it, do a little homework and research before you make a knee-jerk reaction. And I think now that Panther fans have done that, I think they're pretty excited about this guy, just from what I can gather.
If the logic is that this is probably our last year with our sure-handed veteran Adam Thielen,
yeah,
let's go and get our future number 1 so that we can have that guy learn under an established vet like Adam. And at the same time, we learn once and for all if Bryce Young can be the quarterback of the future for this team. I think that's a valid experiment, right? Yeah, you didn't get the splash edge rusher that you had hoped for, that we all believed, and logically, yes, they still very much needed edge rusher. That's why they went edge with their 2nd and 3rd overall picks. But we're going to learn this year for sure if Bryce is the guy, right? He's got 2 really good young wide receivers in McMillan and Leggett. You've got your sure-handed guy in Adam Thielen. If Bryce can't have a breakout year this year, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you said something about Adam Thielen there, and that's probably true in terms of foreshadowing what might happen with Thielen in the future. But how about on the flip side of that coin, what it might say that Dan Morgan didn't see from Xavier Leggett? I mean, you drafted him in the first round last year. You hoped he would be a first-round guy. Look, or a first-round I don't want to – I'm not going to use the B word. You thought he would be a first-round worthy type receiver to go on and be that number 1 receiver for you on the field. He's a good receiver. I just still think it's a little bit TBD, Diesel, in terms of if he's a number 1 receiver on an NFL team. Maybe he's a really complimentary 2. I think that's what Xavier's probably going to be if this guy, Ted McMillan, turns out to be what they thought he could be.
Yeah, that's totally fine to have a really good number 2 that can take the pressure off of your really good number 1. Staying right there with the wide receiver side, Cole, Jacoby George. And you're saying, who is that guy? Well, they offered him, they picked him up in the 6th round, and they offered him a contract with more guaranteed money than a typical 6th round pick receives. So put that name in the back of your mind. Jacoby George could be a meaningful wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. They got him in. They liked what they saw. They gave him a lot of cash.
I would say that there's always 1 or 2 guys that you don't really know their name real well, and they can sometimes pop and surprise you.
And lastly, Jimmy Horn Jr., another wide receiver. He was their 7th round draft pick. They talked about just how smooth he was and his ability to look crisp, to look polished in his very first activity on the field with the Carolina Panthers.
I like it. I hope for the Panthers' sake those guys are not the B words. We can't use the B word when it comes to the Panthers. They can't afford any. They've got to produce. They've got to produce. And Tolos, you also have to produce. Overreaction Monday is next. We all overreact to what happened over the sports weekend. How do you do so? You pick up the phone. You call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. Overreaction Monday is next.
upstate.
We have had several Tolos, and when I say several, I mean a lot of Tolos. Text the Hub City Spartanburgers text line today with some really good stuff, really good comments, especially regarding the Draymond Green angry black man conversation, Diesel, we had earlier in the hour. And I am calling on those same Tolos. I'm looking at you, Tolos. Jacob. Let's see here. Thomas at 423. Buckeye Brian. Eric Hines. I'm just going down the list. Dewey. I'm just going down the Twisted Whisker here. I'm calling on you, Tolos, to be involved. Pick up the phone in this very segment. If you can only text the show, we guess that's okay. We guess, but we would prefer you to call. You may not be in a spot where you can call, and we get it. The text line's open at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's FANFONE. 844-326-3663. Save it in your phone. That way you don't have to rely on us to send you, to relay the message every single time. The phone lines are also open. It's time to get the overreaction started on this Overreaction Monday. Diesel, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you have an overreaction, or do you want to defer to the Tolos for Overreaction Monday?
Well, my overreaction is that the Canes are going to the Stanley Cup Finals.
What?
The Hurricanes up 2-1 on the Washington Capitals. They're going to beat the Capitals down so bad that Alex Ovechkin, Mr. Gray, spiky hair himself, is going to feel so embarrassed. He's got to go back home to wherever he's from and quit the game of hockey altogether. The Hurricanes are going on, baby.
And they're at home tonight, 7 o'clock.
Yes, they are.
Let's see.
2-1 lead.
And you know what's crazy about that? I'm looking at the money line. The Capitals finished the season with a much better record. Carolina's a huge favorite tonight, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with them being at home.
Yep.
In Raleigh, they're minus 275.
That's weird to me because the Capitals are the better team. They had a slightly better record, 1 seed in that bracket. The Capitals are a better team, but this is the 1-2 matchup, and the Hurricanes, man, they are so aggressive. Typically, now game 3 was not this way, but games 1 and 2 were. The Hurricanes usually put so many shots on goals. I mean, it is a flurry of goals. Really, really tough for goalies to keep that puck out of the net against Carolina.
Golden Knights and the Oilers also tonight at 9:30. The Golden Knights were playing at home. What night was it? Was it Friday night when I was in Vegas, or maybe Thursday? Yeah, Thursday night when I was out there in Vegas. The Golden Knights were at home. They lost to the Oilers that night in overtime. But there were a lot of people on the strip walking around with their Golden Knights gear, excited, cheer. Even though Vegas is a gambling city, right, it's still cool to see sports bleed in a little bit.
I would have been hurt, Cole.
Yeah.
Personally hurt if you had gone to a Golden Knights game while you were in Vegas.
No Golden Knights for me. I went to
hockey. Doesn't interest you?
No, I didn't have time to go to the Golden Knights game that night. I've been to playoff hockey. I've been to Dallas Stars games in the Western Conference Finals when I lived out there in Texas. I've been to playoff hockey games, and they are a lot of fun. They really are, but I did not have time. We had a dinner that night to go to, and I couldn't make it. I was not in Vegas on pleasure, so it's not like I just had a bunch of time on my hands. But if I would have had the time, I would have gone. I would have loved to have gone. It's sports. I would have gone to it.
Sure, Cole. We know how those conventions go.
Yeah.
It's like 3 hours worth of work, 21 hours of play.
I wish. I sat way too long in those conventions. I'll tell you that. Let's go to the phone lines where we have two Tolos ready to overreact on this Overreaction Monday. Tolos, if you just got in your car, it's Overreaction Monday. If you're just headed home from work on this rainy Monday, be careful, but throw us on the Bluetooth speaker in your car and dial us up. We go to Dewey, who was first. What is your overreaction on this Overreaction Monday, Dewey?
Yes, it's time for Brian Snicker and Alexandropoulos to be fired. You lose to a team who just fired their manager. What is that all about? And you only score like 4 points, less than 4 points a game.
Runs.
That's a travesty, and it's an embarrassment. You don't want to get to 500. You just want to continue to suck. Well, it's time to get to the trade deadline and start trading some of these people who don't want to play ball. Matt Olson needs to shut his mouth. He went off on his team again. Well, he sucks too. There's no leadership on the Braves team. None. And it ain't going to get no better. If it does, well, then Madcraft can sing a song about it. Other than that, it's not getting any better. Paul Maneri needs to get fired, too. He turned the Gamecocks into a joke. Oh.
Dewey, before you leave, you still there?
Yeah.
I want to hear Dewey say or scream, whatever you're doing now. It's time for the Atlanta Braves to nut up or shut up.
It's time for them to nut up or shut up. Oh.
Did you get what you wanted out of that, Cole?
I did. That was so good.
Thank you, Dewey.
Dewey's the best. We got like 4 ahs.
It's just sitting there.
He's like shooting ahs at us out of a rocket launcher today. I love it.
Sounds like my dog right before he's about to fall asleep. He's just laying on his bed.
Oh, yeah. That was great, Dewey. Great call. And it's hard to disagree with him. It's hard to disagree. One line open on Overreaction Monday at 844-FAN phone. Want to hear your overreact. I know, Tolos, look, it's not the busiest of sports seasons right now. It's a little slow, right? You got your college baseball, your MLB. I watched golf yesterday. I watched a little NASCAR and I even watched college lacrosse yesterday, believe it or not. It was the only thing on live.
Was Limestone playing?
No, they weren't. Actually, they were playing.
Oh,
they had their. It's funny you say that. They didn't
shut them down mid-season.
No, they had their last ever. Was it yesterday? Sunday? Yeah, Diesel. Yesterday. It's funny you said that. Limestone University yesterday at 1:00 had their last ever, their final sporting event on campus yesterday. It was the playoffs, lacrosse. They lost. That was it. No more activities on campus. That's funny you mentioned that. I was watching Ohio State Notre Dame. I was scrolling through. There was nothing else on TV. And I was like, let's watch Ohio State Notre Dame lacrosse. That's when you know it's the dog days of sports. Let's go back to the phone lines at 844-FAN phone. JD up next on this Overreaction Monday. What's your overreaction, JD?
Thank you for taking my call. I'll try to be quick. My first one is I'm going to overreact to Dewey being able to say Alex Anthopoulos. That was impressive, Dewey.
Did he say it that way? Did he say it that way?
He said it right. I don't know if I did, but
you did not.
Correctly.
Yeah, you did not.
No, well, he said it right.
Shout out to Dewey.
Hey. So yeah, congrats to Dewey there. My other overreaction will be the Pacers will make it to the NBA Finals. My second one is going to be the Gamecocks. Sweet number 1 LSU. I can't even say it with a straight face. I can't even say it without laughing. The Gamecocks sweep LSU this weekend. And then
what sport?
Yeah, but this is an overreaction segment, not a BS wishful thinking segment.
Huh.
Yeah, well, that's overreacting. Saying they'll sweep anybody.
So what was your third?
Overreacting. And then, so here, I got one question for you guys too. So I saw a lady yesterday at the gas station, the Circle K. You know, they got the self checkouts or whatever. This lady used the debit card with 4 numbers written on her debit card, and I couldn't help but to think that was her PIN number. You might as well put your address on your house key, lady. Is that an overreaction that I thought that? Y'all have a go and be blessed, not stressed.
That's a lot to react to. It is 3 or 4 overreactions. So set the scene there again.
She was at the self-service kiosk, he said, and she used a debit card to pay for her item, and there was a 4-digit code of some kind written on the card, maybe in Sharpie, I guess. So she wrote the number on the card, and he thinks it might have been her PIN number.
You know, it's funny.
Wow.
That wouldn't be the smartest thing in the world. Number 2,
you think?
Number 2, I will say this, Diesel. I've been in customers' homes with my small business where they will have their code to their alarm panel with a sticky note on the alarm panel. I swear I've seen that.
New alarms or like they've been there for a while?
I've seen
Don't tell me.
I've just seen it. I've seen where the customer can't remember. They will write the code, the 4-digit code on a sticky note and pop it up there. I've seen that in homes.
Oh my God.
I walk in, I'm thinking,
it's got to be new. It's got to be a new system, and like you're just learning it, but
they still don't write it on. You stick it out and stick it on the keypad.
You stick it like in the other room, and then the way a bad guy sees it, they're like, "Well, I don't know what that code is for."
Put it on your wallpaper, on your phone,
out.
Or something, right?
Oh my God!
No kidding. I've seen that. It makes me laugh.
My so my mom can't remember passwords for anything on her cell phone. Just like we all have 1,000,001 passwords, and now like you used to be able to just use a generic password for everything. Now you can't do that anymore because it's not safe, and all these companies make you change your password every 10 minutes. So she writes them down on a sticky note, folds it in half, and then puts it under her like cell phone case. So all of her passwords for everything, her email, her bank, her everything is in the case. Yeah. And I'm like, Mom, come on.
Yeah, I get it. Look, it doesn't surprise me. People can't remember passcode. I have them. I will say this. Actually, I'm not going to say that because if somebody robs me tonight, they'll know where my passcode. Never mind. I'm not going to.
See, like I'm all for like facial recognition technology now because like password tech is such a pain in the ass to deal with. And like your face, like you gotta let it scan your face.
Sure. It's
easy, but your face is your face. It's not going anywhere. So like, does it really bug you that much to have a company scanning your face? You're already giving them your phone number, your address, your social security number, the last 4 digits of your pen, whatever. You're giving them all this information.
No, I love the
Isn't a face just better?
Yeah, I love it.
Like I want to have that in my house where like I just walk up to the door and then
you can. I will say this. The best thing in the world is on iPhones, the password storage to where you log in somewhere and it just remembers the password. You click the little blue button at the bottom. I mean, how could you be an Android user? And I mean, I just, it's amazing.
Sadists is who they are.
It's amazing to what the iPhone I mean, I love it.
But I can customize my phone and do this. Yeah, mine works. That's the thing. Is mine actually works. I used Android for a while, and I had that little air of Android superiority for like 5 minutes, and then I realized this is a pain in the ass.
I wonder if anybody. I guess is that the longest running like they think that we've got, but really they've got. The Android users, like, is this the longest running episode of what are y'all doing?
Telling somebody that, like, if you're an iPhone user, if you tell somebody who's an Android user that they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing, and vice versa, is like telling somebody you've never watched their favorite television show that they binge watch. Oh my God, you never watched Breaking Bad? How have you never seen Breaking Bad? Oh my God, you're an iPhone user? You're a sheep who just likes everything done for you.
One of my best friends has an Android, and it's like, constantly he'll send me videos and they're blurry and grainy, and
it's 2025. How have they not figured that out?
Like, come on, you guys. Because when you send it from an Android to an, it's just bad.
But why?
I don't know.
It doesn't have to be. Sometimes you're on the same dang phone network.
Yeah, I don't understand that's what I don't understand the why. Like why anybody on planet Earth would just choose, you know what? I'm gonna choose this Android over an iPhone. Here we go. Here's on the YouTube stream, DB. Welp, I'm done then. I'm done then, he says. I'm an Android user who has never seen Breaking Bad.
So DB has been lurking the whole show. I'm scrolling up. I don't see a single message from DB.
No.
He's been sitting there just watching us, creeping on us all show, and he finally decides to make himself known. He also says, you iPhone elites can burn me at the stake now.
Did that just become the new, like, you know how, what was it back in the day? An old radio show back in the day. Maybe it was Dan Patrick. Maybe it still is. No, I think it's Dan Patrick that when the callers called in, it was their thing to like give their weight, right? Their height and weight. Ace, Joe from
I love that.
You know, at 240, ding. I think it was Dan Patrick. Maybe that's our new stick is when you call in, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but the first thing we have to know is we go to Tom in Somerville. Tom, are you an Android or an iPhone user?
iPhone.
Yeah,
Okay.
baby.
There we go. Maybe that's our like until we get to somebody who calls in with an Android, we dump. No, I'm just kidding. We don't dump the call, but I don't know how anybody could use an Android. Do you, Tom?
I'm barely even trying to figure out my iPhone. I don't know how people do anything different. iPhones are easy, though. They're easy.
They're easy.
Yeah. They
They
just
are.
work.
Should be. Exactly.
Tom, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you if you had an overreaction. It's not like you to overreact to things, but do you?
Well, this weekend I wasn't very happy with Paul and the Gamecocks, but I got something else I want to talk about. And I saw it today on Twitter, so you know it's true. But there was a guy, and I don't know his name, but he said on his national radio show that he didn't think Bill Belichick was going to make it to opening kickoff as the North Carolina head coach.
Man.
And my overreaction of the day for that is I think I agree with him.
Really?
I just think that all this distraction and the fact that his buyout goes down to $1 million on June 1st, I think it's possible. And I don't think, to be honest with you, with all the distraction with his girlfriend, I don't think he is going to coach this year. I think they're going to push him out the door come June 2nd, and North Carolina's going to have an even bigger mess on their hands.
So you think, to be clear, you think North Carolina is going to fire Bill Belichick before, what'd you say, July the what?
It's June 1st is when the buyout goes to $1 million.
Fired or quit? What do you think happens, Tom?
I think it'll be worded as a mutual agreement.
But what would be the reason? Like if you leave or you get fired, there has to be a reason. What is having the girlfriend around a fireable offense?
No, but the distraction could be.
That's a good point.
But then again, I don't know if they word it as if firing Bill Belichick. I just think that it's going to be a mutual agreement.
Well, so to fire him, Tom, they'd have to prove some form of like negligence or not fulfilling the duties of a head coach. You know, the all the things that a head coach should be doing at this time.
Disruption.
If he's
of the
doing
team.
none of those things, like he's not recruiting, he's not working with his coordinators, he's not coming up with game plans. If he's just hanging out with his girlfriend, going to award ceremonies, I mean that could be seen as grounds for firing.
It could be. I'm just saying, it's when you dig into all this, and it is a major distraction. No matter how you word it, no matter what the actual truth is, it is a distraction. And you know how them people are at North Carolina, that wine and cheese crowd with all that money. If they don't think something's going their way, it wouldn't put it past them one bit to move on. It's just my opinion. It's an overreaction, I know, but I tend to think that there's a lot more to this story than the public knows. And come June 1st, when that buyout's only $1 million, it could be tempting.
I don't think they fire him, Tom, but I do think we see Jordan Hudson on the sideline at some point this upcoming season, like down on the field.
She's been banned.
No, she hasn't. That was BS. That didn't happen.
False.
Was it?
That was false.
Yeah, that was a false.
She's still allowed in the facility as of now. But
As of
Daniel,
now.
you bring up a good point. When football season comes around, if he's still there, every week we need to have an over-under on how many times the TV broadcast shows his girlfriend. Because on opening night against TCU, they're going to show her at least 15 and a half times.
Tom, you want to come over? We'll go shot for shot every time they show Jordan Hudson.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
I don't know. Like, I don't disagree that there's something there, but I don't necessarily agree that it's a fireable offense. I think I'm somewhere in the middle on it.
Like, what has he done to get fired? I mean, being distracted is not really a fireable offense.
The only thing I could say is if, like, they could somehow see measurables on the field with the team at practice, measurable.
Not showing up to team meetings, not being there and for strategy things.
Not locked, just not engaged.
Yeah.
That's fireable, I think, if you bring somebody in with those expectations, right? But I don't know. Again, I don't think it happened. It's not completely far-fetched, but it is fascinating. I don't think it happened. It's a good overreaction, though.
We try to commit a fireable offense at least once a week on these airwaves. Hadn't happened yet.
By bringing Dewey on?
Yeah. Wow. When we come back, Cole, let's see what is out there in the upstate of South Carolina. Some real special sports memorabilia items that we have found on Facebook. It's our Marketplace Monday, actually on a Monday. That's next. Last week, Atolo asked, what is this, Antiques Roadshow? Yeah, it's Antiques Roadshow right here in the upstate of South Carolina. We bring it right here to your doorsteps. Cole and I scour Facebook Marketplace looking for the most interesting and ridiculous items that people in the upstate are trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace that are sports related. And then Cole and I make a game show out of it, see what these people are trying to ask for the items that they have. Sometimes it's a load of crap. Sometimes what they have is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it, Tolos. You can play along on the text line, the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, 844-326-3663. You can also jump into the Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter stream. Just search for The Fan Upstate, and you can play along as well. Cole and I will pit a couple of items each up for the blocks, and we'll try to guess what it is this person is asking for it. So as we are efforting a phone call here, we're going to see if this Tolo wants to play along as well. But it seems that is what they want to do. Cole, they want to play along? Okay.
Yeah. Listen, you should be able to guess who this is. Just think about it. We're getting into a segment. We're about to start.
It's Rick.
Yeah, there you go.
It's Rick.
I mean, this is easy.
Rick. I don't want to say it that way over the phone and make it sound like no. It's Rick. It's Rick.
It's Rick.
Rick is on the phone. Rick, how are you, buddy?
We're doing good. I just bought something off a marketplace.
What'd you buy?
Related.
What was her name?
No, I bought Paul Cruz's jock strap off of Longest Yard.
Really? Where'd you wear it? Did you wear it on your face?
Thanks. It was $50. I think I did a good job.
Oh, okay.
You did a great job. Great get. What are you going to do with it?
Well, it's already stiff, so I'm gonna just put it up on the mantle.
From sweat or I don't want to know. I don't want to know the answer.
All right, Rick, you want to play along for one of mine and one of Diesel's?
Yeah.
Okay, Rick, I will lead off here, okay? And I know you're an Atlanta Braves fan, right?
I am.
So let's start with this one. This is a very cool item. Cole can see it on the rundown. I put the screenshot of the item, but you're just going to have to take my word for it here, Rick. This is a shadow box, a very professionally put together shadow box featuring multiple autographed items from former Atlanta Braves catcher Brian McCann. So in this shadow box, there is featured a game-worn Brian McCann jersey, 3 baseballs, all autographed by Brian, a batting glove, a playing card, and a mini bat, like that you get giveaways from the baseball stadium. All these things are professionally mounted inside of this shadow box. All of them are signed. The jersey, all 3 balls, glove, card, and bat, all signed. Recall that Brian McCann is a 7-time All-Star, 6-time Silver Slugger, 2010 All-Star Game MVP, 2017 World Series champ with the Astros, by the way. And Brian McCann is listed as the starting catcher in the Braves' all-time lineup.
He's one of my... You already know, Rick? Is that what you're going to say?
$250.
No, it's more than that. It's more. It's got to be. It's got to be. I will say.
Well, what do you think? I want to see who's closer. He says $250.
Yeah, I
What's
think
your
it's
guess?
Brian McCann. Like again, people will pay different amounts of money for. Brian McCann was one of my all-time favorite Braves, maybe like top 3 all-time favorite Braves. I love Brian McCann. I hate that he didn't win a World Series in Atlanta. I mean, I would probably pay $250 for something like that. I want to guess a little higher and go $325.
Well, Cole, you're closer.
Okay.
$375 is the asking price for this item.
$375. Would you pay that, Rick?
I would in a heartbeat. I love Brian McCann.
I do too.
It's a really well-made and really professionally put together item. I think this is really nice, and Cole can see it because he's looking at the rundown. So
nice.
Sorry, Rick. I know you're
I
flying blind.
Brian McCann, man. Like Brian McCann holds. There's not many Braves players that hold that special place. Like in your Braves, like Chipper will always be there. you'll always have your Andrew Jones.
Chipper Jones is always
Right.
there. Brian McCann's always
Right.
there.
The catcher from back in the 90s. You'll always have the Mount Rushmore Braves, but Brian McCann's up there.
He's way up there.
I mean, he's no Javi Lopez, but
he's up there. I mean, come on. I love this guy.
The Braves list him as their all-time number one.
That's what
catcher.
I'm saying. Hard to beat that. All right, Rick, one more for you as you play along. If another Tolo wants to play along as well, they can call 844-FAN-PHONE for the next round. Mine is a framed Muhammad Ali signed photograph, Diesel, Rick.
Ooh.
It's 30 by 40. So it's a good size. He is standing over Sonny Liston, who he had just defeated. Yeah, it's signed, authenticated. It comes from Park West Gallery in L.A. It's immaculate condition. It's got a gold frame, a certificate of authenticity, an appraisal on the back. I mean, it's as legit as it gets.
How does the signature look? Does it look like a fluid, nice Muhammad Ali signature, or does it look like he was signing it in an earthquake?
No, it does. Looks good. I'm telling you, this is really nice. Really, really nice. How much?
600.
Not even close.
I'm going to say that this thing is listed at $5,000.
You're close. You're
too high.
You're too high.
I was going to say $2,000 at first, but I thought $2,000 was still a little low.
Do a little Diamond Rio here, Rick, and you and Diesel meet in the middle. He said 5. He said 5,000. You said 500. Original asking price was 3,000.
Wow.
It's come down to 2,100.
That's an amazing item.
It is amazing.
That is an amazing item.
That is a great item. I just can't afford that, but I like to have it.
We all know you got that Rick and Greer money. Rick, you did well, man. Thanks for playing along.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick. So, Cole, I want to ask you live on the air. I'm going to put you on the spot here. What do you think about spicing this thing up a little bit in the future? Having somebody on the phone, like a caller, and if the caller is closer to the asking price than you or I am, we have to do some really hot sauce.
Yeah.
Or something else.
Or stick a toothpick under your toenail and kick the wall, right?
No, what the hell? I'm not doing that.
Does that not just give you the
God,
think about that?
God,
think about it. Think about
any like toe breaking nails. God. But I think we should spice this thing.
No, I agree. Rick didn't do bad.
Next week.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Next week we'll do that.
I like hot sauce.
Some hot sauces of some punishment. Some like the bomb from that game show.
I love hot sauce. I really do.
Here's one for you, Cole. This is these are vintage 1950s sterling silver Masters cufflinks.
Oh, I did see the picture.
It's got a silver circle with the cutout of the United States and the Masters script raised on it. It's got the flag planted right there in Augusta, Georgia. It's also got raised mountains where the Appalachian and Rocky Mountain ranges are. This is a beautiful item, sterling silver Masters cufflinks. I don't have a suit or a shirt, I should say. I don't have a shirt that you could use cufflinks with.
No.
But I would get one, by God, if I had these.
You get the shirt just so you could wear it, right?
Just so I could wear the cufflinks.
Oh, it's nice. I'm looking.
It's really cool.
It is cool.
But is it cool enough?
No.
For this asking price?
Oh.
You have a guess what the asking price is?
Now that you word it that way, I'm going to go higher. I'm going to say.
Oh man, I tipped my hat.
Price is $150. More.
150?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna have to go way up from there. You thought it was gonna be like $50
for a cufflink?
For sterling silver Masters cufflinks?
Oh my God.
Almost 100 years old, 75-year-old.
What's so special about that?
I mean, it's the rarity of it. You don't see these.
I'm gonna go a lot higher now. 480.
You're gonna have to keep going way up from
stupid.
there.
Nobody's gonna buy that. Nobody's gonna buy 1,000.
Just keep going,
That's
buddy.
stupid. That's the dumbest thing. This is stupid. 1,800.
1,800 on the nose.
Oh my
1,800.
God. That's the dumbest thing. No idiot would pay $1,800 for
There's got to be. I don't know what the how much sterling silver is in this and what the rate for sterling silver is nowadays. There's no way material wise there's more than like maybe $100 or $200 worth of sterling silver. But if you could in some way prove that these were real, authentic, that they were in good shape,
ridiculous.
that like, the clasp on the back wasn't broken or something like that, but still,
that's the
1,800.
What are you going to do? I mean, that's the dumbest investment. That's so stupid.
But there's people that walk around in like $35,000 watches.
That's
like it's
crazy.
no big deal.
That's crazy. Good to see Scotty from BMW
Hey, Scotty.
on the YouTube stream popping in. What's up, Scotty? Beam me up, Scotty. I know you told us you get that all the time. I've got one more. This one's pretty simple. It's just a South Carolina Gamecock jersey. It's not game worn or anything, Diesel, but it is autographed by QB1 Lenora Sellers, and a guy named Jimbo is selling it on Facebook Marketplace for how much?
Okay, describe this item to me one more time.
A Lenora Sellers jersey. It's not game worn. It just has his autograph on the back of the 16.
Okay, it's on the number, not on the jersey.
Yep.
See, these things make me nervous because you never know if Lenore's even actually ever held this jersey itself, right? It could be they just signed the number and then stitch the number onto the jersey, which happens quite a bit. Lenore Sellers autographed jersey, $100.
$150.
All right,
$150. Gamecock fans, would you purchase a Lenora Sellers jersey for $150?
I mean, like my buddy Brad and his dad have quite the little man cave in their backyard. It's a detached garage, and they've got all kinds of like cool autographed South Carolina memorabilia on the walls in there. Yeah, I could see that hanging up in there.
Be cool.
That'd be cool.
It just depends. What's it worth to you? $100. Well, so you got any more for me?
I do. Here's a PSA graded mint condition, a 9 out of 10 Zion Williamson New Orleans Pelicans rookie card.
Oh.
It's in its protective case. It's got the, I don't know what you call it, the tag, the certification, whatever, mounted inside the card with it, the way that you're supposed to. So a mint condition Zion Williamson rookie card.
That one's interesting. Rookie cards I'm terrible with. I'm so bad at this.
And the brand of the card looks like NBA hoops. I don't know if you're a card guy, if you know NBA hoops.
See, I'm so bad. It's over 100. But it's not more than 500. Am I warm there?
Can't tell you.
I'm going to go
because I gave it away on the last one.
175.
175.
Too high?
Yeah.
75.
Still too high.
Oh, God. $35.
$20.
That's
you
sad.
Get a Zion rookie card for $20.
That's sad. That is sad. $20. There's nothing about. I mean, what are you doing selling a card for 20?
Why bother at that point? Yeah, I mean, you paid more just to go get the thing appraised.
That's
ridiculous.
Rough. Zion, man, that I feel bad for him.
Let's see. Scotty says $90 tops. It's not even a penny. Is penny a brand of cards?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I didn't get a chance to get to it, Cole, but here's another one real quick for you.
Yeah.
A very snazzy Carolina Hurricanes Game Time. Game Time is the brand. Watch. It's brand new, still in its box, white band, red face with the Hurricanes logo in it. A great addition, and they misspelled the word addition, to your collection or to wear on game days. Just throw
$35.
$40.
There we go. Not bad.
$40 for a cheap
on that one.
plastic watch if you're that hardcore of a Hurricanes fan.
Pretty close on that one. What else is happening, Tolos, in the world of sports? Well, it's the Daily Wires. We'll tell you what's happening next. A lot to get to. It is the headlines of what's happening in the sports world, otherwise on this show known as the Daily Wires.
Buzz, buzz, buzz.
I like that triple buzz there.
Yeah, you do.
Start with local information, local news, not necessarily sports related, but we do cover Wofford and Diesel. It was announced earlier. I had this on Twitter right after 2 o'clock that Wofford College president Nave Samhat announced that he will step down at the conclusion of the 2025-26 academic year following 13 years of his presidential landscape at Wofford. Now the new search begins for the 12th president of Wofford College. New president coming to the Burg.
Love it.
That. Carolina Hurricanes defeated the Washington Capitals in Game 3. They lead the series 2-1. Game 4 tonight at 7 o'clock. Should be a lot of fun there.
Let's go, Canes.
Yeah, I think.
Let's go,
I think
Canes.
it's a home game. That should be. They go up 3-1. Man, that would be big, right? Yesterday, the Colorado Rockies fired their manager and beat the Atlanta. I'm just kidding. That was the other team that fired their manager and beat the Braves, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Bud Black got fired after a 21-run loss to the Padres. The Rockies are off to a 7-33 start. Not good.
Yup.
Miami linebacker Darius Hayes was injured in a car crash Saturday that killed 3 people in his hometown of Largo, Florida. That's just tragic to hear. The 3 who died as a result of the crash, Diesel, were all in a Kia Soul, which collided with a Dodge Durango driven by Haynes on Saturday. No tickets or charges filed, even though the investigation is ongoing.
Oh, that's awful.
It is.
He survived, and everybody else in the other car did not.
That is that's tragic. Josh Young, third baseman for the Texas Rangers, delivered a special Mother's Day gift to his mom, Mary, hitting a 2-run homer in the 5th inning of his team's 6-1 win over the Tigers on Sunday. His brother Jace was in the Tigers lineup at the same position. Before the game, Mary Young delivered the game ball to the mound, joined her sons on the field. She said her heart was exploding, not literally, but it was a great day for the Youngs, especially being on Mother's Day. Not a great day, not a great weekend for Clemson baseball as the downward spiral continues, losing 2 of 3 at home to Duke, 10-15 or 15-10 on Saturday, and then 8-4 on Sunday. Just 2 more bad losses to add to what's happening to the Clemson Tigers. Coastal Carolina baseball.
Can we start calling it Clemsoning at this point in baseball?
That's not good. It's not good.
Tolos, what do you think?
Yeah.
Clemsoning in baseball, starting hot.
Not good at all.
Down the
It's
stretch.
definitely something. Coastal baseball extended its win streak to 11 after sweeping UL Monroe over the weekend, holding the Warhawks scoreless on Saturday and Sunday. The South Carolina Gamecocks, Diesel, are now 500 on the season after getting swept by Auburn over the weekend. South Carolina, what are they in SEC play? 5-22.
So would you fire Paul Maneri or let him actually build the program from scratch?
No, if I'm the AD, he's getting fired.
You got to fire him.
If I'm the AD, he's getting fired.
But do you have the $5 million to fire him?
We'll find it. If I'm the AD, again, I'm not. Newsflash.
He's also not your hire.
No, he's not. He's not. But if it was my decision, we'd go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off before it's going to come off eventually. North Greenville baseball, they begin their postseason run on Thursday in Salisbury, North Carolina. Where is that at? Taking on Young Harris College.
Salisbury is a little bit east of Greensboro.
They have Salisbury steak up there.
I'm sure they do.
Little gravy on that steak. Taking on Young Harris College. It sounds like a rapper, Young Harris College. That is the playoffs for Division II baseball. How about this?
I told you wrong. It's southwest of Greensboro. So kind of between Greensboro and Charlotte.
How about that? Never been. I don't think I've been. Sepp Straka was your winner in Philadelphia yesterday at the Truist Championship. What a really good Sunday of golf it was. Our boy Shane Lowry, I don't know what it is, Diesel, about Irishmen not hitting the putts late in the golf tournaments to secure the win. But Shane Lowry choked yesterday.
Well, remind me to go golfing with Odie from WORD. He's Irish. Put some money on it because he can't make putts. Irishmen can't make putts.
They can't do it. They're not clutch. Shane had it. But shout out to Sepp. The PGA Championship begins in Charlotte on Thursday at Quail Hollow. I'll be live on site on Friday. In life, they tell you, Diesel, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Luckily, I have some connections up there. I'm excited to go up there on Friday. They might kick me out. They may not. We'll see. That's the goal, is not to get kicked out.
Well, if you had some $1,800 Masters cufflinks, they would say this guy deserves to be here.
That's right. That's a good point. So the show will still be on the air. I'll just be on location. We'll see if we can round up some interviews.
Or in a jail cell. Who knows?
Who knows? It's Scotty. Hanging out with Scotty. Might be in a jail cell. Kyle Larson found victory lane on Sunday in Kansas. A dominating race for Kyle Larson, edging out Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney, who finished 2 and 3. Clemson softball selected as the number 11 overall seed in the NCAA 2025 tournament. They'll host a regional Diesel after winning the ACC championship. Also, the Gamecocks softball, they're hot. They've been good all season long. They're hosting a regional 8 seed. How about that? 2 in-state softball programs, both hosting a regional. You can't beat that. That's huge.
That's huge for the state. The tourism is going to be big. People are going to be coming in from all over the region to see what South Carolina and Clemson have to offer. I can't wait.
Atlanta Braves lost 2 of 3 to the Pirates. They're now 19 and 21, 6.5 games back. The Braves host the Nationals tonight in Atlanta. Grant Holmes on the mound. Ronald Acuna will begin his rehab stint with the Florida Complex League tomorrow. I don't know how long it'll be, but getting closer. How about this news? The reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles will host the Dallas Cowboys on September the 4th in the NFL's 2025 regular season opener. Diesel, Cowboys, Eagles to start the season. It's going to be disappointing for me, but I'm already excited.
How's it feel to know that you're going to be a fan of the first team to start 0-1 this year?
No different. I'm used to it. Also, the NBA draft lottery is tonight. The world will find out tonight where Cooper Flag will go.
Make it Charlotte. Make it Charlotte.
That'd be great.
God, that'd be huge.
One more for you. Derek Carr. I've always been critical of Derek Carr. I've never been a big fan of his on the field, at least. But he has decided to hang it up, Diesel. He's had too many injuries, and Derek Carr has retired, and those are your daily wires.
When we come back, we're going to dive right into local high school football. Our next guest, Mark Hodge, head coach of Spartanburg football. He's got the high school showcase event to tell you all about. That's next on the Fan Upstate. Well, they call New York City the city that never sleeps. Football is the sport that never ends because there's always something happening. There was always activity. And to talk about a really, really special event happening right here in the upstate of South Carolina, up the road in Spartanburg, we bring on Mark Hodge, head coach of the Spartanburg Vikings football team. Coach, can you just give us a brief rundown on this event that is coming our way, the Upstate Football Showcase at Spartanburg High?
Yeah, guys, how y'all today?
Wonderful.
We were actually talking to Sheila Bentley a couple years ago about some different things and get kids showcased, and Kid said that in North Carolina somewhere that he had gone to an event that had multiple colleges at it. So he and I kind of got to talking and brainstorming and thinking, and South Carolina's got some different rules here and there, so got with a league to figure out what we could and couldn't do. And basically what it comes down to is you can get approval from the league to have multiple teams in one location, but you have to send in documentation that nobody's actually competing or touching or on the same field with each other. And so time at Chapman and time at other places, and knowing that college coaches can only be in your area for a short amount of time and sometimes just days, a lot of kids don't get seen because, they may have to go to this practice and that practice, and at most they can get to 3 or 4 practices. And so we said, well, let's just put everybody in one place at the same time and invite all the colleges here, and then that way all the kids can get seen. And that's kind of how this thing came about.
Coach, you mentioned a minute ago that you have to get, the protocol and documentation from the high school league on what you can and can't do. You said that they can't be on the same field. So does that mean for this Upstate Football Showcase at Spartanburg High School on Wednesday, let's just say, for example, Gaffney and Spartanburg practicing at the same time, you have to be on separate fields?
Well, originally that was the case, and then what happened last year was we had a big old storm.
Yeah, I remember that.
And about half of it got canceled, and we were still trying to get some teams seen. And so we called the league, and they gave us permission to go ahead and put 2 on the same field. And so we shared with them, what we're looking at and how that's so much more feasible and easier to get more kids seen. And so what happens is, when you come in, like we'll start at 2:00, it'll actually be us and Gaffney. Gaffney will have basically the 45 to the Jumbotron. We'll have the other 45 to the school end zone. And so basically we'll both be on the same field. We're just running our own practices on half the field. And so the colleges can see both of us at the same time. And whether that's for comparison or, that way I can look at the Spartan High quarterback and the Gaffney running back at the same time, whatever. It just gives them, more options in a central unified location. Because the other issue is, if you run 3 or 4 different fields, well, that kind of, blows the idea of being in 4 different locations. So now there'll be 2 teams at a time for an hour. So us and Gaffney start, and we're on it for an hour. And then there's a 10-minute transition, and 3:10, 2 more come on. And 4:20, 2 more come on. And then that way all the coaches can be in just one spot.
I like that.
Watch 8 teams come through.
Yeah.
And we'll have some height weight stations, some other things set up for them, rooms to meet if they want to go meet with kids. And, that way we just guaranteeing that all the kids from all these schools have the opportunity to be seen and are not stuck by travel logistics and time.
Yeah, Coach, is this designed really to benefit the players that are what you would consider under-recruited, or are the stars that are maybe already being looked at by some schools and some, are they also going to be on the field trying to look for bigger, better opportunities?
All the above. You just want everybody to be seen. Now you're not having to kind of go from word of mouth. You can, get, think about all the running backs in the area right now. If the coach is only in Spartanburg one day, there's no way for him to go see all of them practice. Well, now you can. And so, they can make comparisons by seeing them in person. It can help kids get, greater offers, kids that haven't been seen, be seen. And that's one thing we're being very, very particular and cautious about, is make sure that this is to showcase our kids, not schematics and things like that. So we'll be very vanilla because it allows the kids to play fast and allow them to see what they can and can't do, and not try to handcuff them mentally by, showcasing a bunch of fancy calls and things.
We're talking to Mark Hodge, the head football coach at Spartanburg Vikings, about an event on Wednesday, May 14th, the Upstate Football Showcase happening at Spartanburg High School, as you heard him mention a minute ago, starting at 2 o'clock on the main field at Spartanburg. Coach, I'm looking at the graphic now. You see 25-plus graphics from Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia, Wofford, Virginia Tech, Coastal Carolina. The list goes on and on, even NC State and Duke on there as well. When you talk about all of these colleges coming down to take a look at these players that are showcasing themselves, are most of the time, is it recruiting coordinators, or sometimes is it more high-level wide receiver coach or something like that?
Well, the recruiting's changing in college football a little bit right now, and so some schools will send a area recruiter, which, this guy is responsible for your school. Others will have particular kids they're looking at, say they're really interested in running back, so they'll send a running back coach. Some schools will send multiple coaches, and we've actually had a couple of schools actually send the whole staff. So A lot of it just really depends on what they're thinking and what they feel like they're coming to get, because they'll all kind of have an idea of we want to see these kids and that kid specifically. So that they all kind of have an idea of what they're looking for when they come. And so hopefully, they get to see that, and, some other kids get thrown on the radar as well.
Coach, I want a quick follow-up to that. Can you expound on what you said about college recruiting? I don't know exactly what you mean by changing, but can you go into detail in terms of, like, I know, for example, in the past, let's say Matt Luke or whoever, an offensive line coach at Clemson or South Carolina, he may coach offensive line, but if he is assigned to a specific area, he may be going into that area recruiting the wide receiver, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. Is it changing away from that?
A little bit. Like I say, each place is doing a little bit different. Like today, Virginia's running back coach was here, and obviously his primary wanted to talk about Trenton, and at the end he was super intrigued about Trey Burke, and but he then goes on to say, well, I'm not the quarterback coach. But then he gets that information back to a quarterback coach, because, the colleges got to divide their staff up, and people got to go to different places. And some people still do it by areas. You're seeing more and more now do it by position. And so, if they're really interested in running backs, they'll, just go visit the running backs they're interested in. And a lot of that's coming down to, with technology now, you've got so much access to film, but then you got places like, 24/7 and Rivals, and we use National Preps and Exos and Catapult, and all these guys are getting, verified data that they're sending to the colleges too. So when they come to Spartanburg, they got a list already, and it's coming from these recruiting organizations. And most of the time it's right, but then every now and then they've got a kid that doesn't play, or they're missing kids. And so, we just make sure the best we can that we get all of the kids that seen that need to be seen.
Yeah, Coach, that was going to be my next question there. How does an event like this play into player ratings with all the various scouting services that they are? We know a lot of times there's guys who are good players who are listed as 0 stars just because nobody's come to look at them. Will there be representatives from these recruiting services on site trying to get as many kids graded as they can?
Yes, we've invited them too, and they said they're coming, so that'll be good as well. And it's kind of the chicken and the egg thing, What comes first, the star or the offer, and nobody knows. I mentioned Schuler Bentley. It was funny. Bobby talks about when Jake was he was ranked at whatever star level, and then Auburn offered him, and then that afternoon his star level changed, and he picked up football. And so it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. So what you'll start seeing is one of the two happens first, and then usually when one happens, the other tends to adjust. So if you see kids start getting a bunch of offers, then you'll see the star level change. Some reason you start seeing high star levels, then the offers pick up. So, I always get tickled sometimes because, I like to ask all the guys that came through if they offered Debo or not. So, because he was laid off for a guy, and I was like, I don't know if I trust your evaluation, kid, because you didn't offer this cat. So we have some fun with some of that stuff. And, my other favorite question is, well, who else offered him? And I said, well, who else offered your wife? Like, can he play? Do you think he can play, or do you not think he can play? And so we have some fun with some of that stuff. But, those guys, so much technology, so much film now, like they're inundated with just information after information. And then you throw the portal in, and these colleges, have had to add a whole nother evaluation system, because they're evaluating the portal and they're evaluating high school kids, and the coaches are having to communicate with both. So their jobs got extremely hard as well. So, we're trying to make it easy on them and get as many kids exposed by doing things like this.
Coach, this is a two-part question. Put you on the spot for the first part. I don't know if you have a list in front of you of the high schools in attendance on Wednesday, but the schools that will be in attendance, and then the second part of that question, from your standpoint of coaching your team, what is your kind of game plan of what you – I know you mentioned you kind of go very vanilla, but what can recruiters expect to see you on Wednesday?
Yeah, we start us in Gaffney, and then I think it is Woodruff and J.L. Mann next. Following them is Chapman and I think Dorman.
Okay.
Trying to think exactly. Then Chesney and maybe Union next, and then it ends with Bowling Springs and I think Bowling Springs Chesney's last.
Gotcha.
So there's 10. I can't remember offhand without looking at it in front of me. And Harry Cabinets have done a good job helping organize a lot of this stuff and put things together. And when the coaches come in, they'll basically register, which is them giving us their name, their school, and their phone number, their contact, so we can make sure they get anything that they need. And then at the same time, they'll get rosters, they'll get schedules, and they'll get recruiting documentation from us. So it's kind of an exchange of information. And as far as us, what we'll do is we do a little kind of like dynamic circuit to get warm. So we'll go through that, then we'll go into some basic individual where they get to see kids move or cross bags, change the directions. Then we'll do some routes on air to really showcase really Trey Burke and his throws and our quarterbacks, things that they can do. Then we'll do one-on-ones with skilled kids, DBs, receivers, running backs, linebackers, so they can watch that. We'll do a team run option period so they can see that. Then we'll go into 7-on-7. And at that time, our OLDL will do some, one-on-one pass rush and pass rush triangles. And then we'll end with team and a good-on-good team. And then actually we'll end with, Will's kicking some. So, at the end of the day, we're trying to showcase everything, from blocking to tackling to running to changing direction and, just put simple schemes so the kids can just play, so they can watch the kids. Can they read? Can they change directions? Can they run? Can they jump? All these type things, and just see their natural football instincts and abilities.
Talking to Mark Hodge, Spartanburg football head coach here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Coach, is there a plan in the future for kids whose schools are not participating in this event to be able to attend a la carte and get seen, or do you foresee it staying in this relative format for a while?
This particular one will probably stay team-based because, you start getting into, with more combine-type things, it's hard to regulate. This day with open enrollment, recruiting, and transfers and all that other stuff is kind of, we're going to try to stay away from anything that could be sketchy or, situations like that. This makes it clean. You're with your coach, your coaching staff. There's a specific, organization that you got to follow, and it just makes it, team based. And so we had to have some other teams that were interested. We were just kind of full, and so we've shared how to do it. The one thing, a couple other places in the state are doing it. We're just trying to be smart there, not to double book. I think it's one of three ways. I'm not exactly sure who's first, but we started this last year, and then some other teams started doing it as well. And so this year, I think maybe Rock Hill is doing it Tuesday, we're doing it Wednesday, and then Anderson's doing it Thursday. So we've all kind of got together in upstate, tried to kind of,
Sure.
hit this thing where it's 3 different days where, coaches, are not subject to trying to decide which one they're going to.
Coach, you mentioned Will Love, your kicker. I saw him several times last year, and boy, is he impressive. Can you talk about with his brother being at Virginia Tech, what it's like to coach him? And I hate to ask this question because they're both phenomenal, but what maybe separates Will from John?
Well, they're a kicking family to begin with. I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to their parents because they really invested in their kids and, put them where they need to be and in front of who they need to be in front of. And they work. I mean, it was January and about 28 degrees and it was 7 a.m. and Will was out here kicking. I was like, come on, man, let's don't pull a hamstring today. But, they work. And so everything that they've earned, they've earned. And so you got to give them a lot of credit. And they're different. All kids are different. My 2 sons are different. And, John's a little more cerebral, a little more locked in, and Will's he's a bigger, stronger athlete. And so it's kind of fun watching those two kind of go back and forth because, Will being the little brother, he'll make a field goal and let John know. Like early in the year, he made the field goal longer than John had made. So he quick to let him know. And then John comes back and makes one longer and he's quick to let him know. And, so now Will's big thing is he's got to kick one over 60 because, the 60-yarder John made. And I'll let him try for 65, honestly, because in our game, if he misses and it goes in the end zone, it's touchback. So there'll be a game that I give him a 65-yard attempt this year.
That will be incredible to watch. Coach, we appreciate you. I'll be there Wednesday. I will say this, a logistical question. Todd Staley and I were talking. I'll ask you on air because it might be fun. But, I was planning on being in the press box where I was last year out of the elements, out of the rain. But I don't know. I'm thinking, well, the college coaches and the player, getting high school coaches on for interviews, well, maybe down in the end zone under a 10 or something. What do you think?
Really any of it. We're going to try to make it super, inviting. So the press box will probably be open. The hospitality area will probably be open. The little walkway over here in the end zone will be open. And then we'll have 4 or 5 meeting rooms for the coaches too, if they want to go meet privately with children as well. So as best we can, we'll have as many areas open as available and make easy access to the kids and to the coaches.
Coach, just looking at the weather looking at the weather forecast here for you, it doesn't look like it's going to cooperate with you a ton, but Thursday should be a pretty nice day. Hopefully all this rain pushes through a little bit early, but if it doesn't, is there a format to push the thing a little bit later on in the afternoon or in the evening to make sure that you get it in?
We'll adjust and pay attention to it. If we feel like you just can't, then what we've got set up is at least 30 minutes a team in the gym. Unfortunately, with a lot going on right now, you got, other sports trying to practice in their open seasons, and we use some of our gyms for AP testing and whatnot. But we can at least guarantee, 30 minutes or so in a gym so they can at least see kids run around and move if that happens. And, you're just trying to, the weather's changed, on an hour every time you look at it.
Yeah.
1 second it's 20% chance, another minute it's 60% chance. I like to aggravate our trainers and say that they need to repent because they control the weather, but that's not true. We got great trainers, and so we'll make the most out of it. And, just hopefully kids get to run around a little bit.
Coach, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Absolutely. God bless you guys. Have a great day.
Mark Hodge, the head football coach of the Spartanburg Vikings, talking about the Upstate Football Showcase on May 14th. That's Wednesday at Spartanburg High School. Always keeping it local for you Tolos out there. Well, Diesel, let's go a little bit bigger picture here and talk college baseball. You just don't get the biggest guest and the biggest of sports all the time and be like the Al Michaels of pro football. Well, in college baseball, it's the guys from D1 Baseball, Aaron Fitt. You can follow him on Twitter. He's got like 68,000 followers. Doesn't get much bigger than Aaron Kendall and the guys at D1 Baseball. Aaron Fitt joined us earlier in the show to talk Clemson baseball, South Carolina, even a little coastal baseball, big picture college baseball conversation. That's next.
I think they need to take a look at the strength of your conference schedule, which is something that our guy Mark Etheridge has been following closely all year long at GC Extra doing baseball. So I think that should be a factor, and we'll see how much the committee relies on that, or if they just say, oh, well, they got the 17 wins in the league, they're a host. I think you need to look deeper than that this year.
Aaron, my last question for you. The latest D1 baseball poll earlier today has Florida State as the number 2 team in the country, right behind LSU. It's LSU, Florida State, Texas, North Carolina, and Oregon in the top 5. This question somewhat relates to South Carolina's situation with Paul Mainieri because Florida State, man, a new coach, right? Link Jarrett just in his 3rd season. I guess you can still call him new. Last year, a College World Series appearance. How did Florida State get it right in your mind, and how can other programs replicate that?
It's a great question, too, because I'm glad you picked that example, because Link's first year was a disaster. I mean, that was the first year in 45 years Florida State didn't go to the postseason. They finished I think he finished last place in the ACC his first season. And if they had panicked and said, "Oh God, he's a disaster," and fired him, that would have been a mistake, because he was the right guy. Now he was, to be fair, it's different. He was very obviously the right guy. A Florida State alum that is still kind of in his prime as a coach. From an age perspective, coming off taking Notre Dame of all teams to the World Series. I mean, he was an absolute no-brainer, and we knew he would get it figured out. And so sometimes the stars just kind of align. It's like, I think back to North Carolina basketball. Like, of course they were going to hire Roy Williams if they could get him. And it's like Florida State. Of course you're going to hire Link Jarrett if you could get him. And it's sometimes there's just that perfect fit, and it's just like a can't miss guy. Even though Link did miss in year 1, but he was the guy. Mainieri wasn't that. I mean, we always kind of knew Mainieri was a short-term Band-Aid here. How short of a term, I don't know. But I wasn't thinking like 10 years from now, Paul Mainieri is not going to be coaching South Carolina. I think we all knew that heading into it. So, what's the blueprint? I don't know. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can tackle it. I think Clemson, another one that I do feel like that was one of your no-brainer hires, Eric Bakich. I mean, that was the guy, guy with Clemson ties and everything he had accomplished in his youth, his profile, like, in his prime, like that was the guy, no brainer. And he'll get them to Omaha. It's only a matter of time. Maybe it's this year, and then they're going to keep on getting back there. And so sometimes you just need to have the right guy at the right time. And it just doesn't feel like there is that obvious guy for South Carolina where it's like someone from the family who, you only get this guy to come back. That's what, that's the magic bullet. There just isn't, for South Carolina right now, there just isn't that guy.
That is Aaron Fitt, D1 baseball, talking college baseball. Absolutely the best. We appreciate your time as always, and hope to talk to you again real soon.
All right. You got it, my friend.
Yes, sir. That is Aaron Fitt, D1 baseball.
Of course, your adult softball beer league counts as a sport.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan of
You know, Cole, so much has been made about Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend.
No.
Being a little overbearing, as they say. ESPN wanted to do a documentary about North Carolina football. They thought this is a fascinating story. A legendary NFL coach coming down to the college level. It doesn't usually go that direction. He was, attempting to revolutionize the way North Carolina football operates. And, it's not going well. A lot of distractions there inside the football building in Chapel Hill. Jordan Hudson, Bill's 24-year-old girlfriend, took third place in the Miss Maine pageant over the weekend. Bill was there to support her. And
the teens or the adult? Sorry.
And Tom called in a while ago and said that he didn't think that Bill would even make it to football season before they fired him for being too distracted from doing his job. Well, we now know, Cole, what Bill Belichick plans to do if that happens. Bill Belichick is going to open a bar for all those 70-plus-year-old dudes who are out there looking for love with women that are young enough to be their granddaughters. Here's the first commercial for Bill's new bar.
This isn't real.
Called Bella Chicks.
This isn't real.
Listen to this.
Are you an older divorced guy with loads of cash, looking for a woman younger than your own kids, and want to watch the games in the hottest new sports bar? Then come to Bella Chicks. Yeah, that's where it's happening. And every night is Young Ladies Night. Women 21 to 24 get in free.
That's dumb. Don't all women get in free? It's a sports bar.
That's a problem with you young ones. You're too mouthy.
You can't say that.
Sure we can. We're men of a certain age. We don't know any better. Plus, we're millionaires.
Oh, hi. I'm Cheyenne.
Yeah, have a seat, honey. Bella Chicks. So tell me what's your major?
Oh, I have not heard that until just now. That is the greatest thing I've ever heard. You had me for a second. Yeah, I was like, what? Like what?
Hey,
that's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
It's not a bad little way to make some money on the side. It's like have a bar, go to a place like Miami, LA, I don't know, Galveston.
Is Urban Meyer allowed at the bar?
You have to show your W-2 before you can come in. You have to prove that you're worth at least $500,000.
W-2, please.
Yeah.
AARP card,
and then
please.
Obviously no women over 30 are getting into Bella Chicks.
Three pieces of paper. You need your W-2, your AARP card, and your ID. And you're in.
There you go.
That's the greatest idea. That's funny. Who made that? Do you know?
This comes from a
TikTok?
A prep service. No, this comes from a prep service that we have access to.
Yeah, because we don't play audio from. That's right. We only play audio from the prep service. That's
this actually did come from the prep service, and it's morning show radio prep. That this was generated by somebody. Original comedy generated by somebody within this organization that wrote this, recorded this. Yeah, it's good stuff.
That is good, man. So go back to you said I didn't know this. Again, I was kind of unplugged this weekend. You said he attended her. What was it? A
pageant. Miss Maine pageant.
And that really happened. Like the Miss. So she's in the. Is Bill the judge? I mean, what do we do? This just can't.
No, I don't think he was the judge.
This just can't get any more stupid.
But she didn't win. She didn't win the pageant.
Wonder why.
Though she was in it. I mean, she's a lovely girl on the outside.
I'm starting to agree more and more with Tom that maybe we just need to
fire him.
Yeah, I mean,
just move on.
It's just, what are we going to do all season, football season? Talk about Bill Belichick's girlfriend all football season?
Here's the problem. North Carolina doesn't have the stones to fire him. Say, you know what? We made a mistake. This is not what they hired. Like, they didn't know that this was going to happen when they hired him.
Yeah, was this talked about in the interview process?
It seems like, I'm trying to remember the order of operations. They hired him, and then like shortly thereafter, he met her, right? Supposedly met her on a plane, and they were talking about whatever. Everybody jokes that he was helping her with her homework. But like from a lot of people, and this whole story about being banned from team facilities, that was broken by Pablo Torre. You know, you see him on ESPN SportsCenter, or at least he used to. I don't know
that,
if he still works
that
there.
afternoon show where they have the boxes.
Like he's a good journalist. He knows what he's talking about. So he claimed that she had been banned from facilities, and then less than 24 hours later, the University of North Carolina came out with a statement and said, no, like she's not an employee of the university. She's not an athletic staffer, but she is welcome in all team facilities, which blows me away. What other civilian has that kind of access?
That's laugh. I mean, it's just so funny. Again, the whole thing's just, it doesn't seem real. It really doesn't. It almost seems too good to be true, you know? I
mean, Bill Belichick dating a 24-year-old, that makes sense because old millionaires date young, hot girls all the time.
So funny, though, man. I'll tell you what, maybe he'll actually perform well. Maybe, just maybe, his team will actually be worth a crap, and this season we'll actually be able to talk about his football team.
Yeah, what if his prowess as a coach is so good still that all those other distractions, they don't matter?
We'll see. We'll see. Football season cannot get here fast enough. Tolos, we'll see you tomorrow right here on the